You couldn't. They probably didn't do pure silver dollars anymore.
No, they were probably just more like nickel, proper nickel or something like
Or
that.
silver with copper in the middle. Like, they melt down silver to fight the clown. They're like, shit, it's copper. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Screenplay Archaeology podcast. Yes, we are that deep into it. I am your host, KiramidHead.
And I'm special guest WhiskeyBrewer, back at it again.
Back again after that hopelessly optimistic Alien Engineers episode.
Damn you, Ridley! Damn you!
How do I grow potatoes? The blowholes are like varying. Okay. I'll just leave my confident thoughts like this. The movie Blue and Ridley did the fingering, but yeah. Tonight we're going to be covering. I'm going to be titling the episode Stephen King's It, just so you can actually search this episode without your internet browser breaking.
Oh god, yeah.
Because depending on what website you're on, if you try and search for something that's less than 5 letters long, it will just go like, no, fuck you. But we're going to be doing that episode, and the quick summary of the plot first. It's the same plot of both the miniseries and the book and the new movie. It's a group of friends in the town of Derry, Maine, who fight off this monster. Sometimes appears as a clown, sometimes other things to feed on their fear, and then 27 years later, or roughly that, they come back and have to fight again as adults. That's the plot.
Yeah. Pretty much. Town's weird. Don't trust the adults. Kids know it.
Yeah, and the town is. If you read the book, you know the town's just completely fucked up from day one.
Yeah.
And
it's another Stephen King town with a bad history.
Only here it's completely ingrained. It's not like Castle Rock where it was fine up until the asshole who was killing children.
Yeah,
or was he killing? Right. Or was Frank Dodd killing children? It's been ages since I've read The Dead Zone.
I think he was. He was just killing students of any kind. I think. I think he was kind of indiscriminate in that regard.
Because I've read the book once and I've seen the movie a few times. Because that's one of the best ones, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's got Cronenberg and you got Christopher Walken.
And Martin Sheen, just a right old bastard.
Definitely the better of the two ones that Martin Sheen was in, because he was also a Firestarter.
That's right, where he was playing a character who was meant to be much younger than he actually was.
Yeah, I've not read that book. I've had it sitting on my book. I got it for Christmas like 5 years ago, and it's been sitting on my bookshelf this whole time.
You should read it. There are some good stuff in there. Some bits missed out from, they took out that weren't in the film, but I think you'd enjoy it.
I just remember George C. Scott in Redface.
Yeah, that's just some cards. Yeah.
Yeah, but I pulled that and Revival off my shelf for the first. I got both. I got those at different Christmases, and I just finally pulled those off the shelf.
No, I'm trying to think. I've only got 4 more Stephen King books to read. Then I'm up to date.
Oh, I'm never going to be able to be up to date. It's like no, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Oh god! So I think I've got Bizarre Bad Dreams I need to read, Revival I need to read, and then the last 2 of the Tom Hodges trilogy to read, which is like the sequels to
Mr. Mercedes, which just got a TV show.
Which I am actually really looking forward to.
Which I won't be able to watch it because it's on that AT&T whatever network, but
I'm sure they'll show it on whatever channel here in the UK. So,
but yeah, to get some house clean, yeah, because random UK channels will just pick up stuff over there. I've noticed.
It is. Well, it won't even be like, because we've got Fox UK over here, but even stuff that's on Fox in the States won't end up on Fox UK over here. We'll get it on Channel 5, one of the multiple Channel 5 channels,
like Sky or Channel 10,000.
Yeah, we'll get it on anything. So I think we're sorted in the UK.
But yeah, I got some house cleaning things to do. Remember, check out the social media pages. I've got Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, And I got an RSS feed, which I'll link that below. And I do have a Blogspot page, which I do update every time I post an episode. I just forget that I've updated it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I did finish that.
The joys of keeping up with your social media in today's society.
I can never do that. And we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher Radio, and I don't honestly I don't pay that much attention to iTunes because Podcasts Connect is the least helpful thing to use.
Is it that bad?
It doesn't tell you the stats. It doesn't give you any stats. It just says, yeah, your podcast is active.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, and it's like, you want to view it in iTunes? Sure, I'll view it in iTunes, but in order to get any more info, I have to actually open up iTunes instead of just the webpage. It's annoying. But no, I'm on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. I have not gotten a single rating on either one of those yet, sadly.
Yay!
But yeah, check out all that shit. The links will be below. And also, I wanted to mention before I got into this, I have gotten 2 requests basically for episodes, and I am really happy about this, that people like my thing well enough to actually vote on Twitter polls and whatnot. Because yeah, I put up a Twitter poll with just a bunch of random ideas for episodes. Unfortunately, some of them probably wouldn't have gotten voted for just because I couldn't be too specific about it, because once again, Twitter is anal about its character limits.
Oh, God. That don't help when you're doing votes.
No, so it's like, I can't explain what the Planet of the Apes stuff is, because there's not enough room for it.
Considering the amount of scripts there are out there.
But no, I got 2 votes for Superman Lives, so that will be in the future. I don't know how I'm going to do that one, because there's multiple different phases of that Superman thing through the 90s, and it just, I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out an approach to that.
Pray. That's all you can do. Pray.
Like, do I do the Superman Reborn stuff in the same episode, because that's kind of the same project, and and it gets and there was like a point where they were, do I stop when Tim Burton left, or do I do the Superman Lives script that was around when Nick Cage was still attached for a couple more years? Do I do the one that got sent in, which was basically a spec script that they bought because they were that desperate? It's a complicated one, and I also got a request via Twitter to do Watchmen, which will be significantly easier, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit, yeah.
It's only 5 scripts, but I'm guessing they're all fairly close. I'm guessing the 2 Hader drafts are fairly close to each other, and I might leave those out just because he's credited on the movie, depending on after. I'll have to read it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Focus on, like, the stuff when, like, Terry Gilliam was trying to make it, and...
Even if it would have been bad, it would have at least been interesting.
It would have been visually stunning at the time.
But I'm more or less, well, they wanted Arnold to play Dr. Manhattan at the time, so.
Oh, God.
And there's a phase where they want Keanu Reeves to play Dr. Manhattan.
What? Oh, God. It would have been Neo as Dr. Manhattan, or would it have been Bill and Ted as Dr. Manhattan?
Whoa, I totally got dissolved and put myself back together, man.
Whoa, bogus.
The FBI is paying me to learn how to be a superhero?
Excellent.
Or would be John Wick Keanu.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yeah, see, now the Vietnam War had just been him blowing up everybody. No, you know, there would be no army, it would just been him go.
Yeah. Yeah, they told him the Vietnamese killed his dog.
Yeah.
And he kills a guy with a pencil. Not because he has to, but because he can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's going to be an episode down the line. I'm sort of booked solid till January, because next month I want to do Friday the 13th reboots, because that movie got canceled at the last minute. I want to try and get that episode out on that day it was supposed to come out.
Oh, yeah, they can't. Oh, God, that franchise lately has had no hope.
Not even Interstellar could say, because Interstellar is somehow tied up in that saga. But
oh God!
And November, if the Punisher series debuts in November, I am doing Punisher scripts.
Makes it, yeah.
If it doesn't, it's going to be a toss-up between Justice League and Thor, neither of which I'm hugely interested in doing.
You might have to throw something in random at that time, then.
Yeah, and December is probably going to be Legend.
We'll go back at it with Ridley.
Yeah, right back at it with Ridley, because the first draft of that movie is like super long, and a lot of it wasn't filmed or written out, or.
Bloody hell.
I think that's when like Tom Cruise's character was supposed to be like a green man.
So back when Ridley was taking more drugs than he was when he was actually made for film.
Yeah. Although I do wonder if in that version, Darkness rather conveniently monologues out loud about his weakness.
Probably.
I'm like, yeah, thanks, Darkness. I'm pretty sure they heard you like 4 counties over.
Let's make it 5.
And that ties into the subject because Tim Curry.
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah.
Which he's amazing in that up until the very end where he like runs in slow motion at Tom Cruise and you just see his horns going bounce, bounce, bounce.
Yeah. Again, blame Ridley. Blame Ridley is all we ever do.
Yeah, blame Ridley is responsible for everything wrong in the history of the planet. Ridley killed the dinosaurs. He crucified Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, probably a few times till he got the right shot.
No, he's not Stanley Kubrick.
No.
Stanley Kubrick would have been, yeah, that's good, Jesus. Can you do this 80 more times?
Yeah. Yeah, that they cut it in the Bible to say 3 days because they didn't want to tell you how long it really took.
But no, to get on the subject, Stephen King's It is a tremendous novel. And it, in a way, it's sort of like the summation of the themes he was doing in the 80s about the small town evil.
And, yeah, he had really been building up to this.
And then he kind of did another magnum opus on the small town evil again when he wrote Needful Things.
Yeah. And that was, for him, and that was like, he had to do that because that was, for him, the end of that particular brand of the universe.
Yeah, Castle Rock, because he was just sick of writing Castle Rock at that point, so he went, I'm going to blow it up.
Yeah.
And sadly, the movie is too low budget for a big explosion.
No, that's yeah, which is a shame. Maybe with the Castle Rock TV series, they'll do the proper season finale with it.
Maybe. Well, it turns out Bill Skarsgård is actually playing Leland Gaunt, but no, the book is fantastic in how he sets up these 7 characters and gets you successfully into their heads.
Oh, it's a fantastic piece of world building, definitely.
And the fact that Derry, the town, is practically a character unto itself and has this long, detailed history, all about the settlers and you get like all the violence that has gone down in Derry over the years, and I love those interludes. Those are my favorite parts of the book. Actually, I could almost go back and read those as like individual short stories.
They are. He could have released them as short stories before the book came out. And
honestly, the book is episodic to the point where he could have just released it in like 12 little books, like he did the Green Mile.
Yes, definitely, and it would have still worked so well.
Yes, and all the little episodes in that are. And what's interesting about it, the way he writes this monster is that it doesn't fit any sort of established horror formula.
No,
because if you think about it, this It character, it's not like a vampire like in Salem's Lot or even a possessed car, which I've not read Christine. I only just saw the movie recently, but.
The books, I do think the book for Christine is better than the film.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, how seriously can you take an evil car?
But it's done a lot better in the book. That's all I'll say. That is all I'll say.
I say it as the guy who kind of enjoys Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, but again, that's just like switch your brain off and
that film has
let the steamroller fly.
That has one of the most hilarious trailers right next to Supernova.
Yes. It's just out there.
Seriously, I'm not even going to say what it is. Just look up the trailer to Maximum Overdrive, and it was the most hilarious thing.
And then thank us afterwards in the comments.
Yes. And look up that Supernova trailer, too, because it's ridiculous, but...
It doesn't fit the film. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I saw that, and I'm like, that's really the trailer. Wow.
It's the choice of song. It's the choice of song.
Yes, it is 3 songs. 3 songs. But no, it is just this fascinating story, and it has this complex story structure to it where it's flipping back and forth between the past and the present day storylines, and it gets more frequent as it goes along, to the fact where they're running right next to each other at the same time. It's like chapter at the end of the book.
And in fact, when you consider where King was in his mind at the time, how well he's able to keep track and go and just make it all work. It's a masterful piece of storytelling.
Yes, and he was in the middle of his cocaine days.
He was at the height of it, probably, with the page count of the book.
At the height, and just how batshit insane the book gets. It is batshit insane in a good way.
Yeah.
Because it goes into some far-out, cosmic, almost Lovecraftian places for all that stuff with the turtle.
The turtle and the macroverse.
The macroverse and the dead.
Where you expect Morgan Freeman to do the voiceover.
Of the turtle?
Just of that entire sequence.
Yeah, honestly, you know who I see voicing the turtle, and this is going to be really clever when you realize what I'm talking about?
Who?
Paul Bettany.
Yes.
Because the turtle, you find out in Dark Tower series, it's named Maturin, and he played Maturin in Master and Commander.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that would be perfect.
Or you just go all out and get Michael Keaton.
Oh, God.
Fuck off, kid, I want to go back to sleep, which is basically what he says in the book.
Yeah.
Yes, for all those people listening who haven't read the book, yes, there is a giant cosmic turtle in the book, and it is kind of awesome.
He was probably on a massive cocaine binge that day when he came up with that.
And what was really weird is the first time I read that book, I had a bookmark with a turtle on it.
Oh, well, it does fit in with the Dark Tower. It was the beam was leading you to it.
Yeah. The beams led me to some less good places, like the Dark Tower movie. But
yeah, we'll just say that beyond the path of the beam. That one is. That's beyond the path.
That one's out in Toadash space.
Yeah, it's at the clearing at the end of the path. When you consider where the franchise is now.
Yeah. Well, the TV show might still happen. We don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, Idris Elba is still talking about it. He's actually said in a recent interview that I don't care if you don't like the movie. Come talk to me if you do like it. But I can't wait. I can't wait to do the TV show.
I mean, what are they going to like? Are they going to do camera tricks to make him look short and pretend that he's 15?
Probably.
I don't think he ever looked like a teenager ever. He's looked the same for about 17 years now.
Yes. Yeah, it's like he's like Jensen Ackles. The guy doesn't age.
I mean, seriously, go back and look at the early episodes of The Wire. He looks exactly the same.
They showed that as a trailer on TV recently doing the Sky box sets, and it was hit, and it was just that. It's like, all he's done is shaved. That's it. That's the only difference between his roles, is how much he shaves.
Yeah, and although I mainly know him as Charles Minor on The Office.
That's the American one?
Yeah, the American one.
He's in the American, bloody hell.
Yeah, he was like the bad guy technically in season 5.
Oh, okay, all right. I don't think I've only ever seen bits of the first series of the American version.
The first season's okay.
Well, yeah, it's because it's closer to the British version.
Yeah, the pilot is just the same script as the British version with characters' names changed and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, where the fuck were we with it? But no, the book's fantastic.
Oh, it is definitely, when you think of Stephen King, it's one of his seminal pieces of work.
It's his, of all the Stephen Kings in the world, it is the Stephen Kingiest.
Yes. Yes, it is the Stephen King at the top of the tower.
Yes, it is the top. Like whether there's a few things above it is up for debate.
Yeah. Again, any King fan will say, "Oh no, it's this," but and it'll always be the same couple of books.
It's always
And
like it's always The Shining, The Stand, Pet Cemetery, It, and maybe Dark Tower.
Yes. And they are the Crimson King fighting for a floor of the tower.
Like, I wanted a room with a balcony. I didn't want to get stuck on the damn balcony.
Yeah. Oh, my eyes!
That's gonna make no sense.
It's not. It's not.
It doesn't make that much sense when you read the book, if I'm being honest.
That's true.
Because you can tell that's a series that he wrote over 30 years. And he forgot tons of shit along the way.
And then had to go back to the first bit, which was a series of short stories, to make it fit what he wrote after.
And then there's bits in... Because you can tell he didn't make up his mind that all of those different characters were actually Randall Flagg.
No, I don't think he decided that until...
Wizard and Glass, and even after that he's not sure, because he's not sure if John Farson is the same guy or not.
No, and I think it's when they did the comics that they made it definitive that Farson is a different guy. He's just an acolyte of Walter O'Dim.
Yeah, because in Wizard and Glass, like, he says, "Oh, I am John Farson," but then Wolves of the Calla Roland's like, "Well, he might have been, he might not have been, I don't know."
It's all confusing.
It's like, damn it, King.
Yeah. No more drugs for that man.
At this point, they might as well just sell the rights to Studio... Well, they don't exist anymore, but Studio Ghibli, see what they come up with.
Yeah.
At worst, although I'm just imagining it turning into Tales from Earthsea and being like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you drawing from the fucking book where they spend the whole thing on a farm and nothing happens?
Yeah, so just give them Eye of the Dragon and let them go to town on that one.
Supposedly, like, a French studio was making that?
They were planning an animated version of Eye of the Dragon last time I heard.
Yeah, and Talisman has been on again and off again.
Yeah, and they may be waiting until the third book comes out before they do anything with that.
That's never going to happen.
No. But it probably won't, but if it did, yeah, don't do a George R.R. Martin and let the series surpass the books.
I don't even think George R.R. Martin is even working on those books anymore.
Rumor is that either, I think it's sometime next year, there are 2 Game of Thrones books coming out. One is History of the Targaryens, and the other one may actually be Winds of Winter.
You see, as soon as I realized that series was never finishing, I just gave up, because, I mean, it's not worth plowing through 1,000 pages of 1,000,000 characters, and Arya Stark wandering through the fucking woods for all of book 2, and just, I'm just so disenchanted with fantasy novels in general, so...
That's true, but then again, if he dies before it's finished, that maybe you'll get someone will get Brian Sanderson in, like, like they did with the Wheel of Time for, I've forgotten the author's name now.
Robert Jordan?
Yes.
I have the first 3 books in the box set. I read the first 2 and was like, that's enough.
I barely finished the first one. It kind of bored me at the Wheel of Time.
I did read all of Terry Goodkind's series. I don't know what that says about me.
I've never read any of them.
Sword of Truth, and then you get to the book with the evil pacifists, which is just padding. He's told his publishers that he's got 2 books on the line. It's like, oh god, I've got to do a second one. Evil pacifist. There we go. Well, it's this whole, and it doesn't even add, this is a tangent, but it doesn't even add anything to the main arc of the series. It's just a distraction, I guess, so that he could have time to come up with the last 3 books.
He probably needed the distraction.
Of course, 4 years after it was written, got turned into a TV miniseries, which I didn't realize just how pervasive the miniseries was in pop culture until the remake was announced.
No, that's the sort of thing. It's just like you realize, oh god, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
And of course, I will admit, I saw that first. I saw it before I read the book.
Same. Same with me, actually.
And
I think with a lot of people, it's what got them into King, probably.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I do like it. It scared me when I was 8. It doesn't scare me anymore.
No. Again, definitely the first part of the miniseries is definitely the better of the two.
Yeah, it's the better of the two because the second part was hastily rewritten.
That's right. I had heard that, but I've never actually heard anything official about that. But
yeah, according to from what I've read, I'm going to have to look up that oral history article again. But apparently, Tommy Lee Wallace didn't care for the second part because apparently the teleplay was really heavily focused on Beverly as an adult.
Oh, okay.
And so the actual writer, Lawrence D. Cohen, he walked away, and then Tommy Lee Wallace had to write it from scratch.
Which explains his credit in the second half, yeah.
Which you wouldn't know is there because the DVD copies of the miniseries cut out the opening credits of Part 2 because they're embarrassed it's a miniseries.
Well, my DVD copy is actually one of those where you can play both sides.
Yeah.
Of the DVD. And so, of course, you get Part 1, and then it ends, and then it goes back to the main menu of the DVD. And at one point, I thought my DVD had broken because I was trying to play the second part. I forgot you had to flip the DVD.
And it also doesn't help that because originally it was supposed to be like a 4-night series.
Yeah.
And George Romero was supposed to direct, but then ABC kept getting cold feet and cutting down the time, and so Romero left. And then Tommy Lee Wallace came in, who's honestly one of the more underrated directors, I think, because he did Halloween 3, which is awesome.
I love that film. Very underrated in regards to what's around it.
Yes, and it is very watchable, and he also did, like, the only other thing he did was Fright Night Part 2, but I've never seen that because that's like an impossible movie to get nowadays.
Yeah. The only bits I've seen of it are like, look at the posters and a couple of clips. That's all I get.
And like the distribution rights are like tied up because of a murder case, I think.
Oh, bloody hell.
Like the distributor guy was like murdered by his kids, and so everything's in limbo now.
Oh god,
I need to look up the details for that, but it's something like that. He might have done some other stuff after this, but no.
Didn't he do the Tommy Knockers miniseries as well? Or
I don't think so. That might have been someone else. I think that was made in like New Zealand.
Ah, okay. Yeah, New Zealand with a load of American actors.
And because it was like you had, Tommy Wallace did it, and then there was Tommy Knockers. Tom Holland did Langoliers, and then every other one was Mick Garris.
Yes. Yeah, anything that wasn't those three was Mick Garris.
And he's not the greatest. He can script write okay, but he's not a great director. He doesn't have much of a style.
No, that's true, actually. Poor guy.
The Stand is interesting just because they took The Stand and made a 4-part miniseries out of it and just put it on TV and said, here you go.
Yeah. We finally made it. Now you can shut up.
Yeah, we finally made it. Sorry, Romero.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roscoe Pallenberg. You wrote a script in the 80s, but we don't want to use that. We just want to go to TV.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
But no, the It miniseries is pretty watchable, and it's one of those things, there's parts of it which I find a little hard to kind of get past after having read the book, because the book is just so insane.
Yeah.
But it's a watchable little horror movie made for TV.
It is. Well, like, Tim Curry is just...
watchable as hell in it.
He is. He may not remember anything else, but you'll remember Tim Curry as Pennywise.
Sometimes not for good. Sometimes it's not because he's scary. It's because he's ridiculous and hilarious. Like, yeah. It's a scene where the way it's directed and the way he delivers the line, it should be creepy, but it just comes off kind of funny. Where the adult Ben thinks he's making out with Beverly, and it's creepy when he sees the clown suit in the mirror. But then Tim Curry just goes, "Kiss me, fat boy." But I do think he does have some very, like, the beginning moment where he's hiding among the laundry.
Yeah, he's blowing it, and he just appears and disappears.
And he goes from like kind of goofy and happy, and then he just stares blankly. That is creepy.
And then the Evil Dead shot of the camera rushing towards the girl.
That miniseries loves the Evil Dead shot.
It does. It's used multiple times, always in slow motion as
Yes,
well.
always.
It's like they thought, oh god, we've got to make this a 4-hour miniseries.
Well, it was 3 hours, not including commercials.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it played 4 hours on TV, they really raped that thing with commercials.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, well, correct, yeah, because it'd have to be at least half hours commercials per part.
And it's ABC.
ABC, yeah.
And it's interesting that was actually what really kicked off the Stephen King. Before I get into that, like, I actually think the child cast is actually rather good in it. Like, you got Seth Green.
Which, when I watched it recently, blew my mind, as I did not realise.
And then the kid from RoboCop 2, who was also the voice of Littlefoot, he's playing Eddie, and there's moments where it's like, okay, Pennywise, you can eat him. That bastard tried to kill Ann Lewis.
Yes.
And pre-suicide Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah, well, yeah,
pre-suicide. He's actually really strong in that. Like,
he is.
When he's breaking down in the woods.
Rolling Sequest.
I've not seen that.
Oh, he's the child genius in Sequest with Roy Schneider.
I know of that show. I never watched it.
I did. It was all gone in the 90s here. So.
Yeah, but when he's screaming at the woods and breaking down, that's, aside from some awkward swearing they just kind of threw in, it actually works really well. But that's a writing problem, not an acting thing.
No. What he had to work with, he pulled that out of the bag.
Yeah.
And
other.
And then there's the girl who isn't Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, the other sister.
Yeah, the other one.
The one who you find out got fucking dumped in a hole at the end of 2, and now she's like a slave to the what the fuck, what show was that girl on now?
I don't know.
Is it Orphan Black?
She could be an Orphan Black.
The one where there's like multiple versions of the same girl.
Orphan Black.
Yeah, it's that girl. Yeah, she's like a psycho girl who keeps the werewolf in her fucking basement at the end, and you never find out what happened because they made a stupid prequel.
Yeah, because they wanted to explain what happened, yet it didn't explain anything.
But no, the cast in that's strong. The adults are fine. Like they mostly do a good job. The standout is honestly Harry Anderson as the adult Richie.
Yes.
Because he is so funny in that. Like, I love how at the end when they're about to go into the cave, he's like, what, you're saying you're a virgin? I can't help you with that, pal. That
completely threw me. It was just like, oh my god, you're saying this seriously?
Yeah, he's great because he has all the best lines in the movie almost.
He does. It's just like when they're in the library and he's just going off on his routine.
Yeah.
That is just a perfect little bit.
Yeah, he's like, I'm back in Derry, breathing in that dairy air. Oh, there's a bit of a disconnect in the writing, I noticed, because in the child scenes, like, Eddie's always getting mad at him for being called Eddie Spaghetti, but then when they're adults, it's Spaghetti Man.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute.
That was probably something that Wallace forgot when he was rewriting.
Yeah. And the only actor in that I really have too much of an issue with is Richard Thomas, mainly because he feels a little miscast.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, John Boy, you are actually really trying here, but
John Boy, cut your hair.
And then there's a bit where he has a fairly strong acting moment when they're about to go out at the end, and then they cut in the scene of Jonathan Brandis, and it's like, wow. Did Tommy Lee Wallace not have confidence in that performance that he had to do a little flashback?
Yeah.
I do wonder that. But no, probably the least impressive actor in the whole thing has to be whoever that guy is playing Beverly's, not her husband in the miniseries, but Tom Rogan, who is just so early 90s, just, hey, what did we talk about, Beverly?
And that's not even his character in the book.
Like, in the book, he's psychotic.
And also, he's a bit more of those sort of paunchy TV boyfriend sort of things in the book. He's like Al Bundy-ish in the book, almost. Yeah. Well, in this one, he's like Gorgon Gecko? Gordon Gecko.
He turns people into stone.
Yeah. No, that's it, yeah. Unfortunately, that was just his acting ability.
No, he was pretty funny. I like how when he gets hit over the head, he's just got this kind of, what? he's honestly pretty entertaining in spite of that, though, just because of how silly he is.
It is, yeah. And that's probably where some of the rewrites came. He probably was meant to appear later on, but Wallace was like, I can't work with this guy. I can't do this.
Like I was saying when we weren't recording, I was like, if this had been a theatrical film, that guy totally would have been Xander Berkeley.
Yes.
She's not my mother, Tom.
Bad.
He can summoning Candyman in the mirror.
Oh. Yeah.
And then Tim Curry's just like, no, you got me, Tommy boy.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to mention the fact that they got Olivia Hussey in there playing Bill's wife, Audra. Kind of a waste of her, to be honest.
It is. She doesn't really do much. She seems to be quite blank most of the film, even before she gets, hypnotized.
Yeah. But no, she's actually a great actress, and it's just weird thinking, wow, Bill married the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
And she was also she was Mrs. Bates in the prequel movie that Mick Garris directed.
Oh, what, Psycho 4?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I've only seen bits and pieces of that one. I've never watched the Psycho sequels.
Same with me. I've only seen bits of the fourth one.
Like I keep hearing they're actually better than you'd expect, but I just haven't gotten around to them.
It's a sort of, because they only ever showed the first one. They never do anything with the next three.
And I've seen teeny tiny bits and pieces of the remake, but I already know it's exactly the same goddamn movie as the original, so there's no point.
Oh, the remake's bollocks.
All I know is Viggo Mortensen is in that movie.
He doesn't even do much in that.
Yeah, that's
the best thing about the remake is William H. Macy.
Yeah, that's all I've heard is that Vince Vaughn is terrible, William H. Macy is good. And now there's a TV show.
Yeah, which is actually meant to have done really, really well. I still haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, it just ended, I think.
Has it? Oh, so they've actually wrapped up, or ended, or did they actually cancel it before it was wrapped up?
I think it actually got wrapped up. It didn't get Hannibaled.
Oh, thank God.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can take Freddie Highmore seriously as Norman Bates, but...
From what I've heard, he is meant to be really good.
All I'm going to be seeing is fucking the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake.
Yeah, maybe that's what drove him nuts. Was his trip to the factory.
Having to hang out with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, I think, would drive anyone nuts. I mean, hell, even Helena had to get out of that relationship after a while.
Yeah, Phil Craig. She was only with him to get the movie roles, and then she had got that sweet, sweet Harry Potter ticket, and she was gone.
But, oh yeah, she was in that.
She was Bellatrix.
Yeah, she's Bellatrix. I have not gone back to the Harry Potter movies in a long-ass time. Oh, jeez. Which is weird how fucking hyped I was for those movies back in the day, and now I'm just like, eh.
It was that sort of, it was like all the kids were talking about, so it was Harry Potter.
Yeah, and then Fantastic Beasts was just okay. Speaking of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, at least that was only a cameo.
Oh no, he's gonna have a huge role in the sequels apparently, but...
Yeah, that's true. Come back, Colin Farrell. All is forgiven.
But so yeah, the miniseries kind of came out, left its mark. It inspired that whole endless run of the Stephen King miniseries. Which it wasn't the first. Salem's Lot was the first. People forget that was a miniseries.
Because when they did a re-release, it was edited as a movie.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people prefer the theatrical version. I actually like the TV version a little better.
I've never seen the theatrical ones. I mean, I would love to go back and watch the
well, yeah,
the original miniseries.
I watched the 3-hour version, and it actually has the framing device,
Oh, right.
With Mears and Petrie, and I think they're in Guatemala in the miniseries.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it's not precisely the same as in the book, but it's...
They've taken the basics of it.
They've taken the basic idea of them hiding out in like a shithole somewhere.
Yeah. No vampire will be seen dead here.
Which, weirdly enough, they that ended up tying into the Dark Tower.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest outliers to tie into that series, but
it says how early he was. Oddly, how early it was in the back of his mind.
Yeah, well, he said he always wanted to do a Salem's Lot sequel.
Yeah, which they did in the sense on TV as Return to Salem's Lot, which had nothing to do with anything else.
I watched about 15 minutes of that, and I didn't get through it.
I haven't seen any of it. I've only read about it in like a King compendium I've got, so...
I remember it. One of the first things that happens in it is that you have the main character is like a documentarian who's filming a human sacrifice in the jungle.
Yeah.
And then they go to Salem's Lot, and I remember this woman getting chased by this ridiculous-looking vampire monster, and that's all I saw.
Well, they had none of the budget. And if I remember rightly, Return to Salem's Lot has a young Tara Reid in it.
Oh, I don't remember that, but...
I think she's meant to be really, really young.
I'll have to watch it now. Damn it.
Sorry about that.
It's well, I mean, freaking the first Salem's Lot has Fred Willard in it, so why not? And Starsky. Or was it Hutch?
True. Yeah.
I forget which one he was, if he was Starsky.
Oh, I can't remember either, actually.
Well, he's not Ben Stiller or Owen Wilson, I guess, so he has that going for him. But
yeah. Not doing meta by singing one of the original songs.
But so the new It movie came out just this past Friday, and I saw it Thursday night. And it's the end of basically 8 years of development from 2009 when the writer who wrote the draft we're going to talk about got hired on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away too much about it just because it is so fresh and some people haven't seen it yet, including you.
Yeah, same. I haven't had the chance to yet. I should do next week.
But it's a really strong movie, which we needed after Dark Tower just kind of fizzled.
Yeah. Damn it, Sony!
And I didn't hate Dark Tower, I just didn't care, which might be worse.
It had the buildings of something there.
Yeah, there was something there where they could have taken the lateral approach they were taking, could have worked, but it didn't.
No.
Alright, so yeah, we needed kind of a really good Stephen King movie after The Dark Tower wasn't.
No, The Dark Tower had so much potential. It is that sort of, as we've talked about before, the two studios working together to try and make something and both wanting different things.
And I remember at one point Bad Robot had the rights and Damon Lindelof was supposed to write the movie.
Oh god, I think it would have been worse.
Yeah, and the reason he didn't make it is because he was waiting to finish Lost, and then when he got done with Lost, he didn't want to do something that expansive.
Yeah. But the thing is that if he'd done it, at least he would have known what the ending was.
Yeah, but the thing is that I would have liked to have read that. Sadly, he didn't get around to writing it. It's like how David Yates and Steve Kloves were offered The Stand, and then they turned it down, so we'll never know what their version of it looked like. But no, so this comes out, and what the film is that what they decided to do is they decided to do two movies, the first with the kids, the second with the adults, and it works completely as a standalone movie if they don't make another one, but it's already made a shitload of money, so...
Well, it's beaten Deadpool's record of the highest earning R-rated movie.
Yes, and it has... And it also, I think it just barely beat Logan's record for having the most R-rated screenings.
God.
But no, and it's a really smart idea to do it that way, because, I mean, it's going to make part 2 really hard to make, and I just realized I forgot to mention a ton of things about the miniseries, but...
There's a lot about the miniseries.
There was a number of things about the miniseries, like how they were flashing back to stuff which we didn't see in the first part.
No, that's true, which I think is what they're planning to do with the second It film, is do that similar sort of thing. So the kids will still be around.
Yes, but I think that they have time to do it, because in the first one, it just kind of feels like there were scenes that were supposed to be in part one that they just moved over.
That's possible, yeah.
Because that's what it feels like in the miniseries. But so they're going to be doing a little bit of that, and whether they're going to do the giant spider or not for part two, I don't know.
If they do, hopefully it's better designed.
Yeah, because that's my issue with the spider in the miniseries. It's not that it's a giant spider; it's that it looks like a weird rock thing with big cartoony eyes.
It is. It's the eyes that throw everybody. I think if they covered up the eyes, it would have been a lot more freaky.
Yeah, and if they had the deadlights in the eyes and not in its
stomach, yeah,
its fucking stomach, its balls, whatever.
Whatever, the gateway to the macroverse.
Yeah, it's abs.
It's abs. Yeah, Johnny Atlas. Johnny Atlas is the gateway
to the macroverse. But no, if they do it, I think that they'll have to be very careful on how they present it. Also, the big, massive human arms that it has is just kind of weird looking.
Yeah, again, I think again, as we said before about the last minute rewrites, budget.
Yeah, but I mean, the miniseries still works fine for what it's doing.
Oh, it does. It does.
But no, the movie is actually really solid. What it is that it's not so much a straight ahead horror movie as it is a movie about friendship and growing up and coming of age that happens to have some horror scenes in it.
Is that psychological horror about childhood?
Sort of. Like the forms it takes are
maybe they could have used that on the posters.
Are directly related to some psychological things going on with the characters. But and it works because the kids are all to a T great actors in this. Like they all completely sell it.
That seems to be the way with some of King's work. He writes kids. He creates characters as kids that are perfect, so you'd have to be an idiot to get them wrong. Yeah,
but they got this really great group of kid actors together who really just knocked it out of the park. Especially the girl playing Beverly, and especially Finn Wolfhard, which is the most awesome name ever, as Richie.
Stranger Things represent.
Yes, and he was actually cast. What's weird about that is that he was actually supposed to be Richie in the Fukunaga version, but that got canceled, and so that got delayed basically, and then he got found by the Duffer Brothers, who put him in Stranger Things, so he got to do both.
That's right, yeah. It worked out well for him, just not for Will Poulter.
No, but now he's in possibly Oscar contention for Detroit now, so.
And he would deserve it. Actually, a lot of that cast would deserve Oscar noms in Detroit.
I didn't see Detroit. I just know he's supposed to be really good in that movie.
It was actually the last film I saw, and it's just fantastic.
And he was wonderful in The Revenant.
He was, and it's hard to think that he's the kid from Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Yeah,
that's the Narnia movie I never made it through.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching it on demand, and I got to it was just not that interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's like they were trying to continue the franchise after the second one, because it was a different studio.
Yeah, it hopped studios, and then I think Disney dumped it out or something.
Yeah, so we never got the silver chair, which is a shame.
And we never got The Magician's Nephew.
No.
That would have been awesome, but okay. but now the kid actors are all really strong in that. The only actor in the movie I'd say is bad is that there's this one girl bully who picks on Beverly, who's in 3 scenes, and she's pretty bad. But other than that, everyone it's like they hit their quota for good actors, and they just had to have that one in there. Yeah,
they've got to have somebody to make the main lot look even spectacular than they would have been anyway.
Yeah, and Bill Skarsgård is Pennywise, or if I'm going to be proper pronunciation here, it's Skarsgård.
That's good. Yes.
Yes, he's really good, if a bit underutilized. Like when he's like the scene in the drain with Georgie at the beginning. Not only is it brutal, but his performance is interesting because he plays it really childlike until he goes in for the kill. Because he has this almost kind of babyish voice, and then in other scenes he'll have like a deeper voice.
Yeah, and a lot of what I've seen of him, it's his work with the eyes as well.
Yeah, he does. He can make his eyes go off in different directions,
which is spot on.
And one of the things I like about just in terms of the character design, like I do actually like the look of the character, unlike a lot of people. But when he does the sharp teeth in this, it's almost like they tried to go in a different direction from Tim Curry, and they made it almost like a goblin shark mouth. And and if you get a close-up look at it, he has like the rows of teeth going back like a shark, which I thought was cool.
It's an interesting take. While Tim Curry's was just sharp, normal teeth, it was just chiseled down fangs for him.
Except for one scene where he has hobo teeth for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I never understood that, but okay. And me saying the goblin shark mouth thing looks cool is saying quite a lot after 2 movies in a row of Ridley Scott trying to turn the xenomorph into a goblin shark.
Yes. Yeah, but, Ridley should maybe talk to these guys about how to do it for his next film.
Yes. But I mean, I liked him. I liked a lot of his transformations. They're all appropriately freaky looking. There's this one thing that he turns into where I was too busy trying to figure out what the hell it looked like. And he turns into this creepy, weird woman from this surreal painting. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. And he also, the leper looks really good in this.
I've heard that, actually. The fact they brought the leper in.
Yeah, they brought the leper in. He looks really good. Now, granted, he doesn't offer to blow Eddie for a dime.
No.
Which would have been too fucking cheap in 1989 anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, but no, he's actually really solid in this, and the climax is really good. I'll just say that much. Like, you really you're so rooting for these kids by this point that you want to see them beat the fuck out of him at the ending of this movie.
And that's how a film should be made.
Yes. And also they handle the time period pretty well. They never go too far with the 80s references.
No.
One thing I thought was cool was how in the parts that take, because it goes from month to month as the movie goes on. In the parts that take place in June, on the cinema marquee, it says it's Batman and Lethal Weapon 2. And then when it skips forward to August, it's A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
Nice.
Which, I mean, it fits the timeline, but man, that's whiplash going from 2 great movies to ugh.
Yeah, we're running out of ideas, guys. Hell of ideas.
Let's have him possess a baby.
Yeah.
And let's have the comic book scene, which looks like the Take On Me video.
Oh, that's true. I've forgotten about that.
It's Super Freddy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that movie's not very good. But no, but no, the movie on the whole is actually really strong. Like, there's a few things that are kind of... I have a few niggles with it here and there. Some of this was probably stuff they cut for time, like Henry Bowers and his gang kind of just disappear and you don't get a resolution from them.
No, but again, I think in the books, a few of the characters disappear after a certain point anyway, and it's just Bowers, Belch, and Victor.
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't see what happens to Belch and Victor. They just kind of disappear after one scene.
Oh, okay.
And you see what happens to Patrick Hockstetter in the movie. It's not what happens in the book, but he is in the movie.
Okay, interesting.
They don't go into his character at all because, let's be honest, the movie doesn't have time.
No.
He's just kind of a creepy psycho kid who likes to light things on fire.
And that's his entire modus operandi then.
Yeah, and he gets separated off from the group and gets picked off essentially. But no, Belch, who by the way wears a Metallica "Metal Up Your Ass" T-shirt, which is a hilarious obscure reference.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
Yeah, because instead of being greasers, they're like metalheads.
I think that actually works in regards to the change in the in the settings.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. But no, they're in a scene and then they're just gone from the movie. And I can, from having read the different script drafts, I can see where the different bits were cut out.
Ah, okay then.
And you see Henry Bowers fall down a big hole, and you don't see how he survived.
Ah.
And so they cut out the resolution of that too.
They'll probably save that for a flashback in chapter 2.
Yeah, I just feel like it was stuff where they had to trim a few bits here and there for time.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. They probably didn't want it much longer than. I can understand that.
Yeah, it's probably the optimum length for the film to make it everything sort of fits as much as it can.
And there's the also the 180s reference they go a little over the top with is there's a running joke about New Kids on the Block.
God.
Which is hilarious, but the last little bit of it they push a little too far. And I do think the blood coming out of the sink is done a little over the top because it literally drenches the entire room.
Is it like they took lessons from Sam Raimi in like, she's our Bruce Campbell for this scene?
Oh yeah. Like, it drenches the room to the point where it looks like to save money, they just put a red filter over the camera.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that was a little over that. But they do put a twist on that scene, which was pretty creepy, which I won't say what it is.
No.
But no, it was an effective little adaptation while leaving room for the sequel. But it still stands on its own pretty well, and it is a very good movie. And you get to see the house on Neibolt Street and all that stuff, which I hate pronouncing it that way, because my brain always tells me to pronounce it Neibolt.
Neibolt. No, I think you would be right with Neibolt. Yes, you're getting it right, I think.
But no, that's how my brain tells me to pronounce it. But I know in the book, like, they spell it out phonetically, and it's Neibolt. But that never felt right in my brain.
It's probably because you thought, King's got it wrong with the amount of cocaine he was using.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he gets the wrong word for an inhaler, so why not?
Exactly.
Well, to be fair, I can't blame him for missing mistakes like that sometimes, because, I mean, the book is fucking massive.
Yeah, it's like 1,130 pages of holy crap.
It's like how I read, I got the, like, Entertainment Weekly put out a guide to Stephen King, and I've been reading that, and there's a bit where he talks about people are always writing in letters to him about the chocolate thumbprints from the Payday bar in The Stand doesn't make any sense because Payday doesn't make a chocolate bar.
Oh, right.
And he's just like, it's those little, he's constantly getting letters about that. He's like, damn it, I fucked up.
Yeah. But then I think when he linked that all to the Dark Tower, he goes, it's not our universe. They might have done it in that universe. You never know.
Well, yeah, isn't it established in, it's established in Wizard and Glass that the Stand is an alternate universe, because they go to the Stand.
Yeah, because they end up at the train station in Topeka.
Yeah, the Emerald City for some reason.
Yeah, it's just there. But that might have just been a flag illusion, you never know.
Yeah, Flag built it out of his ice-cold dick.
Yeah. It's big enough for you. Yeah.
Is this what you wanted, Nadine? All right, all right.
All right.
That has to be one of his most memorable roles in the last 5 years as Wolf of Wall Street, and he's only in it for like 5 minutes.
And that scene was improvised.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that. He just saw him doing it to psych himself up.
Yeah, if I ever spoke to him, I told you it would be like, hey, how about that Texas Chainsaw movie?
Yeah. What kind of drugs were you on with that? What was it like working with Reese Witherspoon?
Renee Zellweger.
Is it Zellweger?
Yeah, it was Zellweger.
They're interchangeable to me. Maybe they're twinnies.
Who spends the whole movie baked out of her mind.
Yeah. Maybe they're actually twinnies in a Stephen King universe. Who knows?
Oh, who knows? Yep. See, that's them from the Territories.
All right.
Which is funny you bring up Reese Witherspoon because she has a movie that just came out which got clobbered by it at the box office.
Oh, is that the one with Michael Sheen?
I don't know if he's in it or not. I didn't look. I just know it's called Home Again.
Yeah, it's the one with Michael Sheen playing...
She's dating like 3 20-year-olds or something.
Yeah, and Michael Sheen's her ex-husband who wants her back, so they're all fighting for her.
Michael Sheen, you're better than this.
He's probably still not gotten over Kate Beckinsale leaving him.
For the director, no less.
Yeah, we're working in the same film, but I threw it off for the director. You bitch.
Yeah, well, bitch, I got my own prequel without you. You were stock footage.
He was stock footage, yeah.
So, okay, I guess we should get into the script after all this chatter.
Probably, might be a good idea.
Yeah, so this script is dated 21st June... Why am I trying to remember? It's right in front of me. 21st June 2010, because apparently an American writer who works in Hollywood is writing in the British form of dates.
Hey, we rule.
Yeah, but you still can't spell color, right?
Yeah.
It's written by David Kajanik, which that's the Americanized... I read somewhere that's the Americanized pronunciation of his name. The original Serbian is Kajganic, I think.
I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it anyway.
I can't remember my source for that, so I'm probably wrong. But Kajanik is what it said. The Americanized pronunciation is.
That's how I've always thought it. So.
And he was a writer who wrote a spec called Town Creek, and it ended up and that got him to work on The Invasion, which was the update of Body Snatchers, which I still haven't seen.
And I have it. Again, it's good in parts, not so good in others.
And that was a film which got... Warner Brothers didn't like how the film turned out, so they got the Wachowskis to write reshoot scenes. And
from what everyone says, it's all their bits that are rubbish.
Yeah, and like James McTeague, the V for Vendetta guy, directed the reshoots. And what's weird is that movie was directed by the guy who did Downfall, the Hitler movie that became a meme.
Yes, that's right.
Makes me kind of wonder what his cut looked like.
And again, it's from what I've heard, it may be in the vaults, but they won't release it.
Yeah, Warner Brothers doesn't like to admit their mistakes. Like, we will never see all that deleted footage from Suicide Squad.
No. We won't see that at the original cut. The nearest we'll get to that is the novelization, which is in the right order.
Yeah. But no, so that came out, and then Town Creek got made by Joel Schumacher as Blood Creek.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, with Michael Fassbender, and apparently, according to Kajanik, that was changed around a lot.
So it's not even his script in the end, then.
Yeah, and he did, I believe he did like one of the later drafts of that movie, True Story, with Franco and Jonah Hill.
Oh, right, yeah. I know which one you're on about.
Yeah, that movie's alright.
I never got the chance to see that in the end.
It's an interesting story. The thing about it is that as it goes on, the fact that it is a true story and it apparently stays very close to the true story, you get to the ending and it just feels like it kind of goes out on a whimper.
Right. It does, yeah. Like life, sadly.
And he was assigned to do the Creature from the Black Lagoon remake at one point, but I think he's been replaced since then.
Oh, God.
Which his draft for that hasn't been out yet.
Maybe soon. All of his previous drafts that didn't get made are out there, it seems.
Yeah.
In time.
Except for one I'd be interested in reading, and based off of because when he sold Town Creek, he got, with that being sold, that also got him work on, part of the contract was that he got to work on a movie, which was The Invasion. And after that, he got hired by Paramount to do a Pet Sematary remake.
Yeah.
Which that script's not out there, but he ended up leaving that because while he was writing it, there was a regime change at Paramount, and they decided that they wanted to restructure it and make it more teen-oriented and make the daughter the main character.
What? Oh, God.
And a bunch of different writers were attached to it, and Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, who did 28 Weeks Later, was attached at one point. A director who has basically done nothing of note since that movie.
And
that movie wasn't even that great.
Good in parts, had some great performances, but yeah, I think that's the only film I know he's done.
Yeah, the script for that movie was just kind of crap.
Yeah.
It was a crap script. It was a crap script with good acting.
Yes.
It's
We need
just
the
a movie
sequel.
where you're expect to think, oh, the moment when they're told to shoot indiscriminately to get the infected, it's really hard to think they're the bad guys when you're seeing, what they're seeing, and it's impossible to tell the difference.
Yeah, the way it was filmed, like when you see it from their perspective, definitely.
Yeah, but no, so he actually because of those changes that Paramount wanted to make, he actually got them to let him out of his contract.
Smart move.
And because he worked on that, because he worked with these producers on The Invasion, they asked him to come do it. And he actually said that he pitched the idea of doing it as 2 movies with the kids and the adults, but Warner Brothers at the time didn't want to hear it.
They never seem to. That's the problem.
And then when Fukunaga came along, they were ready to hear it, and it's one of those weird things.
Yeah, right place, wrong time sort of situations.
And more or less, and because it's such a simple story, what happened to this, I'm just going to say it now,
Yeah.
is that, this script was written and they were looking at directors, and then both Fukunaga and the Duffer Brothers, who went on to do Stranger Things, they both were going for it at the same time, but Warner Brothers went with Fukunaga instead. And so he went and did his own version.
They were kicking themselves in the foot after that.
Yeah, and then Stranger Things came out, and it's like, shit. And, well, by the time Stranger Things came out, the movie that was being made was already being filmed, so.
That's true, yeah.
And then, Fukunaga ended up leaving over conflicting reports. Some say budget, some say there was creative differences, others say he wrote weird sexual scenes into some of his drafts, including Travis Bowers, not Henry Bowers for some reason, raping one of the Hanlon sheep, and masturbating over a birthday cake.
If the kid isn't messed up already.
Yeah. Now, granted, I haven't seen that specific draft, so I don't know if that really exists, but that's just too good of a story to pass up.
Yeah. It's one of those fantastic behind the scenes moments, you think.
Yeah, I hope if that version's real, I hope that leaks out just because I so want to read that.
Yeah. You've got it just to see how absurd it is.
Yeah, because supposedly the whole thing with those sexual scenes is that because there was posts about this on the forum for the parents of child actors, and they were saying that they were pulling their kids out of auditions because of that stuff.
Yeah, which I think it's not surprising.
And that and other stuff like writing Stan out and making Richie the Jewish one. Stan's now a goldfish. And then Pennywise turns into a clerk at the synagogue and tries to molest Richie. And just stuff like that. And eventually, he left because he didn't want to compromise his ideas, I guess. And so they brought in Muschietti, the guy who did Mama.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're thinking that because he did Mama, like Jessica Chastain might be a lock for adult Beverly.
Intriguing?
I can see that working.
Yeah. I think it'd have to be a wait and see again in that one, because she is good.
I have no idea who to cast for anyone else. I saw someone mention Jordan Peele for Mike, and I'm like,
No. I like Jordan Peele, but no.
Jordan Peele is Pennywise. It is funny people bring up Jordan Peele because there's the joke in Keanu where it's like, you sound like John Ritter all the time.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing. He won't be playing Hanlon. They'll just recast one of the other adults as black to get him in.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention it is hilarious that Mike's grandfather in the movie is played by Stephen Williams, a.k.a. Creighton Duke from Jason Goes to Hell.
What a badass.
I'm like, that's why he's not in the movie that much, because if he was, the movie would be over in 5 minutes. He would just shoot Pennywise, and that would be it.
And then rip his heart out and eat it.
Yeah, that's why the Punisher is not in Defenders, because that show would have been over in 2 episodes.
Oh no, they would have been doing the fight, and he would have just jumped through the window and shot her. And that would have been it.
Yeah, he would have just shot Sigourney Weaver straight through the head.
That would actually be the perfect pilot for the Punisher.
Yeah, that would be why. That's like the perfect metaphor for Alien 5 not happening. Fox just jumps through the window. Bam!
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, it's Ridley. It's just swinging through, smoking a cigar.
Him and Arnold need to do a movie together just for the cigar stories.
They do. Well, that's the whole thing when they were meant to be doing the whole.
I Am Legend, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
They would have wiped out Cuba's entire cigar industry making that movie.
Well, he said. Ridley Scott said around that time that when making G.I. Jane, Demi Moore smoked up all his cigars.
That's perfect. Yeah, Ridley,
yes, but okay. To go into the script specifically, like I said earlier, it follows the same basic plot of the other incarnations. Only here there's a few changes, the most notable of which from the beginning is that, well, for one thing, it's doing the entire storyline in 130 pages.
It's condensed to hell.
And it somehow sort of works?
It
doesn't work. It doesn't work, but it kind of does in places. It
flows. He's done it in such a way that to make it flow as it is.
Yeah, it flows, but so does sewage.
Yeah. It all floats down there.
Yeah, this whole script floats along nicely.
Yeah. Like the rest of his scripts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The way the
I should mention, he did go on to do a version of The Stand, which I've read. And Stu Redman has magic powers from God, and at the end there's a big battle over Las Vegas.
Maybe he was trying to write Preacher and just changed it to The Stand instead.
Yeah, no. But there's a big battle between the Boulder people and the Vegas people, and Stu Redman sneaks into Vegas and he has a big Dragon Ball Z fight with Randall Flagg.
Well, it probably would have been better than Dragon Ball Evolution anyway.
Is that really saying anything?
To be fair, anything's better than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Honestly, I haven't seen Dragon Ball Evolution, but
don't. It's awful.
I'm guessing it's worse than the Death Note movie, and I actually liked Ghost in the Shell, but that's just me.
I like Ghost in the Shell as well, actually.
You, me, and like 12 other guys.
Yeah.
But no, and also the other big difference in this version of id is that there's only 5 losers instead of 7.
Yeah, they put out Mike Hanlon, who's
combined into Bill,
and then they get rid of
Stan entirely.
Stan entirely. So
just think about the implications of that. They got rid of the black guy and the Jewish guy.
Yeah, as they say in all horror movies, the black dude dies first.
Only here he didn't even get to live.
No. The most meta horror murder ever.
But no, he gets folded into Bill, who in this is the one who stayed behind and became the librarian and the metaphorical lighthouse keeper.
Yeah.
And to just get into the summary, it opens up with him in Derry, having a nightmare about
he's having a nightmare of what happened after the funeral.
Yeah, what happened after the funeral. What the hell happened in this one? He's having a nightmare about going into his brother's room after the funeral, but it's not like in the miniseries. No, it's nothing to do with the photo albums and all this. It's just the fact that he's in the room. And he's sad. And the dad's like, come out. I find that actor, I find the actor who plays his father in the miniseries kind of hilarious. What are you doing in Georgie's room? Yeah, nobody's allowed in here. Never again. Who's gonna dust? Fucking puts a padlock on the door. Yeah. That doesn't actually happen, but it might as well. But no, he's the librarian, and he's got this tack board in his office at his house, where he's keeping track of all these children who have begun disappearing. And it's reminded me of True Detective when they go into the barn or whatever it is, and McConaughey has all the strings. That's right. It's the most epic linking of everything together. And he's kept track of the other 4 members of the Losers Club. He has little note cards, he has like little boxes that you keep note cards in, which have all their information in them.
Yeah, so it's easy for him to pull to hand.
And he has like a list of note cards with like the descriptions of the nightmares written down on them on like the inside of his medicine cabinet.
Yeah, because it's the only way, because like he has that whole memory like thing. He can't quite remember everything, so he feels the need to write it down.
Even though he's the one who stayed behind.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really track. Because in the book and the other versions, Mike stays behind in Derry and he remembers everything.
Yeah.
So here it's like Bill kind of remembers, but kind of doesn't.
Yeah, it's sort of like he remembers. It's all like stuck in his subconscious, and he doesn't want to bring it up. So it's all in his dreams while he's constantly having the nightmares. So he's writing the nightmares down because he knows there's something about them.
Mm-hmm. And he goes to the library, and you meet his librarian employee, who's Audra, who's not his wife here, but they had a fling like a month ago or something.
It was good for you, wasn't it? Yeah, sure.
And it's super awkward. She's acting like they're actually supposed to be together, and they're not.
No, it's like she's almost going to go fatal attraction on him.
It's a good thing they established that she works in the library, because otherwise I just assume she's just some woman who walks in and is obsessed with the librarian.
Yeah, who just keeps turning up at his house.
Yeah, she just walks up into his office at the library and sits down and starts talking to him. It's like, wait a minute.
And so, yeah, because it's all about time he's booking off, or he hasn't been himself for the past month.
Yep, and so he's listening to the police scanner, and he gets word of a dead child and drives out to the crime scene, which is right next to the Barrens, I think they say.
Yeah.
Which the Barrens is this wilderness area where they played in as kids.
Yeah, that's right. That's like the big where they used to meet up during the summer.
Yep. And they get and he gets a glimpse of the dead child, and he notices it's wearing the paper boat for a hat.
Yeah. Well, it's quite funny, but it also goes quite descriptive on the body of the child from the brief.
That scene was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And so that triggers the flashback to Georgie's death. Now, this script also takes place, it changes the time frame up to the 80s and the present day.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that it doesn't quite throw it out there as much as because what the new version does, it just had in the scripts even, it has like title cards telling you what the year and the month is. Here it just kind of mentions 85.
It's just like saying, this is in the past. It's around this time in the 80s, but we don't need to focus on that too much.
And they do mention the 27-year gap, and they say that the past sequences take place in 85. And so that actually shows something smart Kajanik does, where he actually forward dates the events a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice a lot in movies where they'll write it as being in the year they wrote it, and then it comes out 2 years later, and it's like, wow, these references don't quite track. No,
that's right. He sets it forward so that hopefully by the time the film is made, it's sorted.
But one of the things I kind of like about the drain scene where the boat goes down the drain here is that he bends over and he talks to Pennywise. Now, this scene is another example of this thing being way too rushed, because this scene goes by really quickly.
It is. It's something that's meant to essentially start the whole story. It's the crux of what happens to all of them.
Yeah, it goes by a little too quickly. And one thing about this is that they don't really describe what Pennywise looks like here.
No, they do keep it sort of quite vague, look like he's more in the shadows, so we're going to surprise you in a bit.
Yeah, but throughout the whole thing, he's only just kind of described as a clown.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you get to the drafts of the actual movie, they are very specific about what his outfit looks like.
Yeah. He probably just put that in as a template until he could work out what he felt it should look like to be different from Curry, maybe.
Yeah, and in here, however, the scene's too fast, but there's a change here I like, where Bill is watching Georgie from his window, and he sees what happens.
That was creepy. He's there because he's ill. He can't do anything.
Yeah, he's there and he's watching and he's trying to call for help, but the stutter takes over.
Yes. To me, that was nicely done.
Like, that was a genuinely kind of disturbing moment. Like, putting yourself in that place is just, ugh.
It's horrible. He's just, he can't help it. It's not until after everybody's already screaming later, just a few moments later, that he's able to, like, scream.
Yeah, that was really effective. And so, in the present day, Bill is calling them all up. He calls Ben Hanscom, who in this version sadly is not in Hemingford home.
No.
I love that. I love that reference. I was like, so does Ben live next door to Mother Abigail? Does she make bread for him?
Probably.
But no, he's in San Francisco at a work site, and I get why they do this. It's because it's supposed to be a nice visual way to show that he's an architect.
Yeah.
And he's running up and down the steps of the construction site, which is really goddamn dangerous.
It is. He's meant to be the boss. He's the one who's meant to be knowing what's actually going on.
Yeah, and it shows that, that he's become a runner later in life and that he's exercising and stuff. And so he gets the call from Bill, and that triggers, and this does something that the miniseries does, which I thought was kind of neat, is that when they first get spoken to, they'll have a very short flashback that you don't necessarily get the full context for until later.
Yeah.
And I thought that, like Bill gets that little flashback to them swearing to come back, which you don't see the whole thing of until the very end of part 1.
No, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and here, Ben gets the flash of the loser swearing the blood of, because they do actually cut their hands here.
Exactly, which I always thought was a better visual in regards to why they came back.
Yes. And they do that in the movie as well, except it's just some random piece of glass he pulls out of the grass, and I'm like, do you really want to be cutting yourself with that?
Yeah, because doesn't he actually have a knife?
Well, no, they break a Coke bottle in the book.
Ah, okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's like a Coke. Yeah, he breaks a Coke bottle, which he also finds among the weeds, I think.
God, yeah. Get your tetanus shots afterwards. That's probably why they forgot with the tetanus shots afterwards.
Okay, and so Richie gets called up next, and we see, and you actually you don't actually see the phone call in this instance.
No, actually, for the rest of them, you don't see the phone call. It's the aftermath, or like they get the phone call, and then it's we've got to go.
Yeah, and I like that because it keeps it from being too repetitive, and the miniseries does that a little bit where they change it up each time.
Yeah.
And so Richie Tozier is called, and he works at a DJ. He works as a DJ, and his boss Steve. This is an interesting kind of wrinkle, which sadly, like, they do very little with in this version, where Richie is gay.
Yeah, that I was so surprised by that. It was just the way it was written in this script. It was just like, oh, okay.
But he's still kind of ashamed of his sexuality in a sense. He's got a bit of I'm trying to think of a word to use here. My vocabulary is failing me.
it happens to us all. King used it all up in the book. It's like he has like some unresolved issues of his own, and that his adult character arc is sort of resolving that and coming to terms with who he is. But the problem is that it really kind of fizzles out. Yeah, it doesn't become a major part later on. It's just...
Yeah, because like at the very end, he's like, "Oh, who's Steve?" He's like, "He said he'll tell us later," and that's the last you hear.
Yeah, that is literally it. He's going to introduce us to Steve.
And he has a brief flashback of watching TV with his family, and it's like they're watching like an old episode of Bedtime for Bonzo, I think, or something.
Yes.
And they're like, "Hey, that's Ronald Reagan. That's our president." He's like, an actor can become president, and as far as like mostly they turn out to be fags.
Yeah, God.
Which was kind of funny.
That was. And then he looks to his mum for her response, and she's just not giving a shit.
Yeah, and then his mother is like, he looks at his mother's ridiculous, ugly silver earrings, which I thought was an odd callback specifically to the miniseries.
Yeah,
because the silver is made from the earrings in the miniseries, whereas in the book it's Ben's silver dollars.
That's right. Yeah.
But I guess that the silver dollars make more sense for the 50s, because I think by the time the 80s rolled around, you couldn't. They probably didn't do pure silver dollars anymore.
No, they were probably just more like nickel, proper nickel or something like
Or
that.
silver with copper in the middle. Like, they melt down silver to fight the clown. They're like, shit, it's copper.
Yeah. Oh no, that would have been a funny scene if they'd done that.
Copper? But so you get that, and then Beverly is called, and she gets called at work, and she's working with her husband, Tom Rogan. The secretary leaves the room, and during the call, she gets a flashback of her father standing in the bloody bathroom, which I thought was kind of a neat image.
Yeah, that is quite the big visual for her character, her younger character.
And she also gets a flash of the Neibolt Street house, which is the and it's described as an abandoned house with the yard is full of big ass sunflowers, which I didn't know sunflowers really grew that big for the longest time.
No, I was never sort of think you never think of them being that big. You just think of normal flowers in that regard, or weeds.
But they can be, and then we get a weird part where it's like they want to keep in the abusive relationship, but we don't have time, so he just slaps her in the office, and it cuts away.
Yeah, it's sort of like he slaps her, and then she becomes quite submissive straight
but then
away.
We find out she just left anyways.
Yeah.
And the next time you see him, he has like a bandage on his head, and you have no idea how it got there.
No, so they obviously cut the scene from home. Where
was there another draft of this which had that scene in it, and it was just too long for the requirements he had?
Possible. It could have given him an extra 30 pages.
Yeah, or 10 pages even.
10 pages, yeah.
And by the way, Tom Rogan is a completely pointless character in this script.
They completely rush his subplot.
Like, I almost prefer how the miniseries just left him behind, because that feels like more of a climax than what this script does, where he just kind of shows up and then randomly gets killed.
It is. He's like, yeah, I'm here. Oh, no, he's not. And you're not even sure what actually happened to him. You have to read it a few times.
Yeah, I had to go back over that. I'm like, wait a minute, is he dead?
She's like, just throw it out with the trash.
All right, and so she apparently leaves somehow, and then Eddie is the last one called, and you actually have his wife Myra in this script, which is interesting because she got written out of the miniseries.
Yeah, because they just replaced them, kept the mother in the miniseries.
Yeah, which is probably because, hey, we don't have the money to hire another actress.
I need more work, please. Yeah, okay, then you're back in.
Sorry, Dennis, you gotta play a virgin. Damn it.
Sorry, I can't help you with that.
Yeah, because we cut out the sewer scene. Damn it. We're not going to talk about that scene just because I'm sick of how that scene dominates discussion of the book.
Yeah. Oh, look, a distraction.
Yeah, but so yeah, he gets called and he leaves. And do they have the Pacino reference in this script? Because I'm pretty sure in Richie's section they left in the Clarence Clemens reference, which is out of date now, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think they've cut... No, I think Pacino is in this script.
Yeah, she says, I can't drive Al Pacino, I'll have an accident. And I'm like...
You know what you know how much I love Pacino.
You have to pick up Al Pacino in an hour. Yeah, it's in here. Yeah, the reference is in there, which is it's kind of weird because in 2010, I mean, Al Pacino was probably filming Jack and Jill.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably wanted to make sure the windows were tinted so nobody could see the crap he was dishing out.
Although he will be doing The Irishman pretty soon, so.
Will he? Oh, God.
With Scorsese.
I'm sure Scorsese will bring it out of him.
Yeah, it's him, De Niro, and they got Joe Pesci out of retirement.
No way!
Yeah, and it's about a hitman who claimed to have known what happened to Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, God.
And Pacino's playing Hoffa.
No, I want to see this film now.
Yeah, it's going to Netflix.
I'm still going to see it. Fine it.
Yeah, I want to watch it. Yeah, definitely. I'm like, I don't have to wait for the theater. I don't have to get off my ass to go see it.
Yeah, especially when you consider Pesci's last film was Lethal Weapon 4.
He came out of retirement briefly to do a movie De Niro directed. I can't remember what it was.
I might have to have a look at that then.
It was called the Good Shepherd, about the CIA.
I think I know which one. I recognise the title.
Yeah, I never saw it. I just was. They were like, "Oh yeah, this is Pacino's first movie in like 12 years."
Yeah.
I mean, not Pacino, Pesci.
Pesci, yeah.
The Weapon 4.
Yeah, bloody hell! I didn't realise he'd done another film since Lethal Weapon 4, because everyone always talks about that.
Yeah, he was too busy with his music career.
Oh God!
But no, but we get another flash memory here. We get two flash memories here, where you see the you get to see the Neibolt Street house with the hole torn in under the porch where they crawl in through the basement later.
Yeah.
And then you have him walking down the street with a broken arm, and his mother freaking out.
Oh yeah.
And she calls him Ed and Eddie, and all she had to do was throw an Ed with 2 Ds, and it would be a hilarious reference.
It would be perfect. I would like that, actually. That would have been quite funny.
Yeah, Ben, so they all get to Derry fairly quickly, and I think they get routed through the Bangor airport, which is kind of funny because that's the setting of the Langoliers.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe they were on another plane and saw these strange people. Just appear.
They went, that's some horrendous special effects, man.
Yeah.
But and like Bill's like calling the hotel to confirm they're all checked in, and then it visits him in the form of Georgie, who is just basically straight up trolling him in this scene.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. He's just like, she just kicking him while he's low.
He's like, "Hey, you're responsible for your brother's death, and you're gonna get your friends killed." And I was like, I would have cut the Georgie bit out and just had the bit where Bill wakes up and sees the wet footprints next to the couch.
Yes. Now that would have been a creepy visual.
Yes, because it's in the miniseries too. Because Mike's in the library, and he sees the wet footprints walking in, and then he turns around and there's a balloon.
Yeah, and that's just like, oh crap. It would have, yeah.
Okay, and then the next morning, Ben is going for a jog up Mile Hill, which just sounds exhausting.
Yeah, well, he's been running up dangerous building sites for most of his life. It's probably just a stroll in the park for him.
Yeah, but he looks down into the Barrens and he triggers a flashback where he remembers looking down there and seeing Pennywise offering him candy as a kid.
Yes.
I'm like, really? You turn in Pennywise? Does he have a van down there? Like a window, a blacked out panel van.
It's free. It's all free.
And then the Bowers gang, catch him, and he does he. I'm trying to think. Does he actually carve his name into him in this version?
No, I think he just cuts him. It's just various.
Oh yeah, he's cutting like hash marks into him.
Yeah, and each one gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah, he's like, it's, fuck, what is the term for that again? Like, tally marks?
I think that's right.
I can't fucking remember the word for it. And Victor Chris is like, Jesus, don't really cut him. Yeah, he's cutting him for every mark in,
Cause isn't it about...
I'm looking for what word he's using.
Yeah. Because isn't it with his school grades or something?
Yeah, it's because he's in because this is in the book where he didn't let Ben copy off the exam or whatever.
Yeah.
Ben didn't let him copy off his test, and so now he's stuck in summer school.
Yeah, and they're all in it. They're all stuck in it.
Yeah, all three of them for some reason. But he's like, "Hey, how many weeks are we in summer school?" And so he's cutting off. I know the damn word. Shit. He's putting a lot. He's making a cut in him for every week instead of trying to cut his name into his stomach.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he actually does cut the H into his stomach in the movie. Oh crap!
Oh damn! And that was always a creepy sort of. That was a sadistic bit, but
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, you fat shit. But no, Ben gets away. He kicks him, breaks through the barrier, and falls down into the Barrens. And he meets Bill and Eddie down below, and they end up escaping from the Bowers gang on Bill's moped. And I'm like, 3 kids on a moped?
That's right. Ben's on the front, and Eddie's on the back, because as they go to escape, like one of them Eddie nearly gets grabbed by Henry, who's just so close to having him.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It sounds like a Three Stooges routine.
Yeah.
And so the next day in the present timeline, the adult losers meet at the Orinoco Diner instead of the Chinese restaurant, which, something hilarious I noticed in the miniseries is that their waitress is the same Chinese woman from Happy Gilmore who comes up to his apartment after he sings into the intercom.
No way!
It is. It's the same actress.
Don't you want breakfast?
Yes. I noticed that, and I was like, holy shit, I couldn't think of anything else. And that's one scene where I understand not doing that scene in the script because they did that almost exactly from the book.
Yeah, that's right. So they do make in the miniseries, it does almost turn into another happy montage.
Oh, it does turn into a montage, yeah.
In the vein of adults.
But that's the thing is that they could only afford 1 or 2 50s songs, so they play "It's All Right" like 15 times. It's kind of funny.
That's true, yeah. Hey, Al Green wants his dough, for his church.
It's like, we can't afford as many songs as "Stand By Me" had.
Yeah, "Stand By Me" nicked them all. That's the problem.
And so they basically, this is, the big, exposition dump where Bill is talking about, all the different things. He fills them in on the fact that it is back and killing children. And he talks about the long history of it in Derry and all the different things that happened. And he mentions that because, there is no 50s incident. Because in the book, that scene took place in the 50s, and so there wasn't a big disaster that happened because they stopped it.
Yes, that's right.
They kind of fill that in here, and in here, they fill that in this version, what happened in the 50s, and it's that some guy went crazy and burned down a church.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is the church. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, I was trying to think there. It was just like, that is right, yeah.
Yeah, and he says that, he talks about how their memories will keep coming back to them, and he encourages them to walk around the town, which they do in the book, but they do it alone, and here they do it in pairs. Yeah,
because Eddie goes off with Richie.
And Ben and Beverly go off together.
Yeah. And because Eddie and Richie go off in the taxi cab.
Yep. And Ben's like, no, I'm just going to run everywhere.
Yeah. Don't want no candy for this fat boy.
And okay, so yeah, Eddie and Richie, they go to Neibolt Street, and the buildings have been plowed over for a construction site.
Well, half of them, they've been, plowed over in preparation, and they just look at each other like, no, this is not good.
Yeah. Like, oh no, we're going to have a haunted shopping mall or whatever it is.
It's
going to be the shopping mall.
Shopping mall, yes.
And they're talking about it, and that's when another flashback comes in, and we actually get a flashback within a flashback, at which point I'm going, really?
Yeah. He's just going nuts with time. I need to fit everything in. Everything must be in the script.
Yes, but it shows Richie and how they help, him, Bill, Ben, and Eddie, they help make a treehouse. And so there's no dam or underground clubhouse here, it's just a treehouse.
Yeah. Which is shade.
It's not the magic treehouse either.
No, no, it's the Treehouse of Horrors.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's just sad to think about now. The Simpsons sucks, but
yeah.
But no, so they have a treehouse, and while they're up there in the treehouse, he tells them about how he was at Neibolt Street looking for bottles, and this is Eddie's encounter in the book, but they give it to Richie, and I think this is actually clever.
Yes.
Because when it comes out as the leper, and it's all diseased, instead of missing its nose, it's got herpes, which is kind of silly, but it crawls out from underneath the house, and it's still talking about how he'll blow him for a quarter.
Yeah, I got more bottles down here. I'll blow you for a quarter, and you can have them.
Yeah, which actually adds a different dimension because they're doing the thing with Richie being gay here.
Yeah, now you can understand why they've given him the letter.
Yeah, but they never really do anything with that theme again after this point.
No. But I think it's just so you remember, by the way, that opening scene, it does matter in the past. It might not at the end of the film, but it matters to him then.
Yeah, it gets a brief reference when they're all like living in the same house for like 10 pages at the end.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking Friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there for you, Bill.
But he doesn't tell them about what it is saying to them because he has his own issues with that.
Yeah. He just says, it's saying about bottles and it tried to grab me.
Yeah, and then Ben mentions his encounter with Pennywise, and then Bill talks about the arm he saw grabbing Georgie, and they put it all together.
Yeah.
And then, then we cut back to the present where Ben and Beverly, they walk to the park, and then Ben remembers that him and Eddie, they met her there the day after that conversation. And that's when she tells them about the blood erupting from the sink. And she took them to her place, and only those two helped to clean it up.
That's right, yeah. It's like a bit of elbow grease will be able to sort this.
Yeah, because in the book, like, all 7 of them get together and clean it up. But I actually kind of like how this goes here, because it makes Ben a little bit more proactive in the love story, I guess you could call it, with 11-year-olds.
It does. It shows that, yeah, he's always had this thing that she's the one who brings out his strength to do these sort of things.
Yes, and in the new movie, they actually do the kind of a love triangle from the book. Only it's played relatively subtly and not overdone.
Oh, right. So
I hope for part 2 they don't put in the really awkward bit from the book where Bill and Bev just randomly go off to fuck.
Oh God.
That's one thing in the book where I'm like, okay, King, this doesn't really work for the characters here.
No, you don't need it. You could probably cut a few hundred pages.
And it's really awkward because she flashes back to that scene right in the middle.
Yes. Yeah, oh God, that is so true.
Yes, it was just because you don't know that happened at first, and then she flashes back and she goes, "Oh God, all of you?"
Yes.
and King just generally doesn't write sex scenes particularly appealingly, so.
No. Sex is awful, kids. Sex is awful. Don't do it. Abstinence.
Compared to some of his books, yeah, no. He's definitely not promoting abstinence and Wizard and Glass.
No, that's true.
That whole book is about Roland and Susan being unable to stop fucking each other.
That's true. But no, that's also about how the fact that Roland fucking her actually saved her from humiliation that was originally planned.
Yeah, that's true. But it also got her burned alive.
Yeah, that's true.
And Roland was too busy tripping balls with Merlin's grapefruit to do anything.
Yeah. He was a ball in his head. Thank God it wasn't a blue ball.
That's going to make no sense. But no, that's how she got...
fans out there.
But no, that's about how she got... That's how she got into the club, and then cuts back to present day again.
Yeah.
And Audra's still in full stalker mode.
Turns up at Bill's house.
Yeah, and she tries to talk to him, and she gets all kind of clingy.
Oh, God, we had fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was a good time.
It reminds me of a line in the Cat People remake, where Annette O'Toole says to John Hurd, she says, "Well, I thought I'd seen you in love, but I guess I was just flattering myself."
That's right, yeah. And that's right. And but also as Audra's talking to him, there's the it is Georgie again appears behind her.
Yeah, Georgie appears. He sees Georgie's feet at the top of the staircase, and Georgie starts talking, and he starts like trying to rush her out the door.
Yeah, that's right. And he's looking over his shoulder, and he's getting more and more worked up.
Yeah, and it's at the point where it's like, really, Pennywise, you should just kill him.
Yeah, you don't need to drive him mad. Just
you don't need to be quite that much of a douche.
No, seriously, the guy's already down. Just stop digging.
Yeah. And so, okay, Eddie and Richie, they end up at the pharmacy and they split up.
Yeah.
Eddie goes into the pharmacy and he gets the memory of how he was told the pharmacist assistant lets it out of the bag that the inhaler was a fake.
Yeah, and then the actual pharmacist tells her to go off, and Eddie leaves. Yeah, it was actually the pharmacist in the book, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Well, what happens in the script is that the pharmacist decides because of that he has to tell.
Yeah, his hand has been forced rather than him being all natured.
Well, he wasn't good-natured. He was. It's in the book. He's this weirdo who likes to just mess with people.
Yeah, in the miniseries, it's kind of good-natured. You really shouldn't be doing this.
And they make him really goddamn creepy in the movie.
Yeah. Oh god.
Like he all but hits on Beverly in one moment.
Oh no.
Yes.
I feel dirty.
Yeah, I'm scrolling up in the script, but no, those memories are going on, and then Richie is outside, and he follows a trail of balloons to the bridge that goes over the canal, and I'm like, these balloons are no good, man. Stop it.
No, they're all different coloured balloons as well.
Not just red.
Yeah, it's just thought, that is actually a great visual that it's just the whole street as he's walking down.
And he sees balloons tied off in different places.
And it's all just making it all pop back, and it's just, but none of the other residents notice them. They're walking up the street like nothing's wrong.
And here comes kind of a creepy scene. So he's looking out over the water, and he sees a balloon, and he sees all these, like the ghosts of the dead children emerge from a tunnel. Yeah,
it's like a small one appears, then another one, then a couple more.
And it's the tunnel over where the one street is built over the canal.
Yeah.
Which is a thing from the book.
Quite a big thing from the book, yeah.
And then all these kids pile out, and we'll get to that later, and then Pennywise crawls out of the tunnel, and he's wearing a black cloak, has blood spread over his mouth, and is clambering around on 4 stilts. And his movements are described as spider-like, so I'm like, they're foreshadowing the spider.
Yeah.
No, what it does is kind of dumb later on.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a bit weird later on, but...
Yeah, but we'll get to that, and it's like crawling up over the bridge, trying to get Richie, and it's
smacking its stilty feet into the bridge, and cars are stopping, wondering what the hell this crazy guy's doing in the road. Because
he almost gets hit by a car.
And the driver can only see Richie. He can't see why Richie's rolling out the way, yeah.
And then Pennywise is like, well, you weren't able to kill yourself before. Why would you be able to now? And I'm like, why weren't we told this earlier?
Yeah. This is important. But I just think that's just a great bit, cutting back of Richie, in the road trying to get up and get away as the feet are smashing into the floor, and the driver's just, completely bemused at this crazy guy.
Yeah, it would be an interesting scene. Now, granted, the whole crawling around on stilts thing is kind of lame if it's not foreshadowing the spider, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Or if you just see it even looks like spider legs, rather than just being, stilt,
And I have never heard of someone going on stilts on all 4s, ever.
No. Well, actually, Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal? I don't remember.
There's the creatures that, the 2 gelflings get on.
Oh!
Those are actually guys on 4 stilts.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I watched that.
It's been a while for me, but...
I mainly remember the really creepy shit in that with, the fucking Skeksis, stripping the dude down. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, I've forgotten the character's name. The Arch-Chancellor or something like that.
Yeah.
Who has the voice like Starscream.
Pennywise as Starscream.
That would be perfect. Ah, my foot!
But no, okay, so it jumps back to Eddie's flashback where he leaves the pharmacy, gets attacked by Bowers and his cronies, and they break his arm.
Yeah, they chase him into an alleyway, and he's got his arm behind his back on the floor.
Yep.
And there's the shopkeeper who comes out.
And he's like, hey, boys, don't do that.
Yeah, and it's literally a split second after his arm gets broken that the guy comes out.
And because the one guy in Derry with a conscience manages to distract the Bowers gang long enough that Eddie runs away.
And Bowers goes up to the guy, we're not finished with you either. Get back in your shop.
Yeah, he runs towards the town dump where the rest of the Losers Club, I think they're like target practicing in there.
Yeah, that's right.
And he runs away to the dump, and they're throwing firecrackers at him. So this is basically, what happens to Mike in the book, only it got transferred to Eddie because poor black kid didn't even make it in this book.
Yeah.
in this script. And so that's what leads up to the rock fight, where they just pelt them with rocks.
And it's like, it's the sign of the Losers Club, and it's where, I know in the miniseries, it's where they take the name as this badge of honor.
Yep.
Like, we'd rather be losers than you, sort of thing.
And Mike just kind of joins up because, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's one of the unfortunate kind of things that, has to happen, where certain things will happen really quickly because they have to get the story going, but you have to cut things out for time.
We've got, it's like, oh crap, we've got to actually reveal how the librarian met all of them.
Yeah. And in the movie suffers from that a little bit because Mike has the least to do with any of them, but he still gets like character and backstory and stuff, so that helps. Yeah.
Again, that's always a plus if at least that's being done.
Yes, but so they all come together and they pelt the Bowers gang with rocks, and then Richie and Eddie meet up in the present day, and Richie's all kind of shaken, and Eddie's not even like, what's wrong? He's kind of like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah. We're losing our mind. It's all okay.
And so, back to flashback, the Losers go to the Neibolt Street house using Richie's mother's silver earrings as slingshot ammo because they decide silver is going to work for whatever reason, because there's no werewolf in this script.
No, that's true. And I thought the werewolf was that Richie's thing initially?
Yeah.
That is Richie's thing, yeah. Because I always remember in the book them being chased by a werewolf.
Yeah, because in the book they go to the Neibolt Street because Eddie sees the hobo there, and then Bill and Richie go there together and get chased by the werewolf, and then when the whole gang goes back there, they get attacked by the werewolf, and that's why the silver works, is because it's in werewolf form.
Yeah, because they believe that the silver will work against the werewolf, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and there was a whole bunch of stuff with Eddie, his mother freaking out, and then he confronts her about the placebo thing and breaks their relationship.
Yeah, and she's all like, they're not your friends, they got you hurt, but you lied to me, and it's just like, he gets in her face. And
that's a scene which is in the book, and it's in the new movie. It needed to be in the miniseries. That's the one thing that's kind of missing there.
Yeah.
Is that he needed to have that strong moment of breaking away.
Which would make sense in the miniseries, would make sense in regards of how easily he's able to leave the house, leaving his mum there.
Yep. And so they go into the house and they're walking around, and as they're going upstairs, like, this is where the script gets weird.
Oh yeah, this is where all the timey-wimey.
Yeah, the wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey. Yeah, the time distorts and takes them back to the 50s.
That's right, yeah, when the house is in its prime.
Yeah, and there's like some 50s porno mags.
Yeah, that's right.
As well. Yeah.
Maybe it's all Rita Hayworth, maybe. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Well, I mean, it was in that dumbass long hallway in Dark Tower, so why wouldn't it be here?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they climb up to they go upstairs into the bathroom with the exploded toilet, and this scene is more or less what happens in the book, except instead of fighting the clown, in the book they fight the werewolf.
Yes.
And so they're fighting the clown. Beverly shoots and misses, and she reaches into her pocket and she thinks she hits him with the silver.
Yeah.
But it turns out she actually hit it with a rock, and it worked because she believed it was going to work.
Yeah, because she still had rocks in her pocket from the target practice before the rock fight earlier.
Yeah. And it basically bursts out of the toilet to attack them, and before it takes the shape of Pennywise, you see it as this kind of vague orange and silver light.
Yeah. Hinting at the deadlights,
cool
yeah.
reference. Yeah, the deadlights.
Or
the headlights, or the ab lights.
Ab lights, yeah. Fog lights.
Yeah. The fog lights. Crossover with John Carpenter's The Fog.
Yeah, now that would be, it's a giant spider instead of zombie pirates.
Yeah.
I've watched that film.
Yeah, I watched that too not long ago. I have the Shout Factory Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
Region 1 represent.
God. Thank God I've got a multi-region DVD player, so that's good.
Yeah, and okay, so they get out of Nebolt Street after that. I gotta train myself to say it like that now, because it's that in the movie.
Yeah, Nebolt Street. There we go.
Yeah. And we go back to the present with Ben and Beverly visiting her old apartment building, and they meet an old woman named Mrs. Kirsch who claims to have known her father and encourages Beverly to wander around the apartment. Now, this character is in the book.
Yeah, and in the miniseries.
And in the miniseries, and it was almost exactly translated in the miniseries where Beverly's by herself, and all they did was cut the really crude bits.
Yes.
Which honestly wouldn't translate anyways.
No.
Where she's going like, my father was also my mother. He shat me out of his asshole.
Yeah, that would just make it sound like she's like a demented old lady who should have been in a home.
It sounds like something they would say on South Park.
Yeah, maybe if South Park do an adaptation of it, they'll do that. And that will be the entire episode.
So would Cartman be Pennywise?
I think he would, actually, because he knows how to get at everyone else.
Well, yeah, but then who would be... I'm just imagining... Obviously, Stan would be Bill.
Stan would be Bill.
No. Yeah, Stan would be Bill. Kyle would be Stan, which is confusing.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That would. If Kenny Eddie...
Yeah, because he's dying all the time.
Yeah.
Token would be Mike.
Token would be Mike. Wendy would be Bev.
Wendy Testaver.
Yeah.
I think we got them all, except for Ben.
Butters.
Butters.
Give it to Butters. You've got to give it to Butters.
No, wait, I got it. You know, Cartman would have to be Ben, and then Big Gay Al would be Pennywise.
Yeah. We're all super down here.
And Al Gore can pop up.
Yeah.
Pennywise will turn into Man Bear. Yeah. Pennywise will turn into Man Bear Pig.
Yes.
Okay, so the Mrs. Kirsch scene in this, Ben and Beverly go there together, and Beverly's wandering around, and she gets pulled into her memory of what happens after Nebolt Street, where she starts flashing back to she gets home and her father assaults her, saying, you've been hanging out with boys, I know what boys want to do now. And right before it gets properly creepy,
yeah,
adult Beverly takes the place of little girl Beverly, right as he says, take your pants off and let me check.
Yes.
That just reeks of, we're too afraid to do this scene.
Yeah. Here's our aunt. We'll use adult Beverly.
And it is kind of fun. It's this whole thing where she's getting slapped around by her memories. It's kind of unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
But while this is going on, Mrs. Kirsch, who is obviously it, she's trying to feed Ben candy.
Yeah, they've gone off in the kitchen and she's making him tea. She's got, I've got cookies, I've got candy. Come on, you've got to eat something. You're skinny.
Yeah, she's like, and she just goes crazy and starts like shoving it down his throat. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it's just great handfuls, and she's choking him with the candy, trying to force him to eat it.
Yep.
That would just be... I think, on paper, it reads well, but I think if they filmed it as is in the script, it would have brought out a lot of laughs.
Yeah. Like, it's just weird. Like, he's just, like, shoving candy down his throat, and he spits and goes, I don't eat that shit anymore, bitch.
Yeah.
And he just straight up books it out the virus game, so I guess fuck Beverly.
Yeah. You're on your own, bitch.
Run. And then she eventually escapes from the memory and runs down the stairs and gets out, and you find out, ooh, it's been abandoned.
Yeah. Well, doesn't she become strong as she, like, fights him off, essentially?
Yeah. And I'm guessing she's reliving that part of the memory or something?
Yeah, it's either she's reliving that part, or in this version of the script, she's changed the outcome.
Yeah, or something like that.
It's with how he's written the flashbacks and how it all converges. It could be read either way.
Oh, and I skipped over a part earlier on accident where, right before the concurrent Richie and Eddie flashbacks happen, we get to see Henry Bowers in the psychiatric hospital, seeing his dead friend Victor Chris off in the distance, talking to him in the form of it's taking the shape.
Yeah, that's right, and
then he strangles an orderly and escapes, which I kind of liked how this scene played out because it avoided the cliche of the mental health institute being kind of shitty.
Oh yeah, and the slow motion Evil Dead shot on the orderly.
Oh, that's the dog-headed clown. That's something that reads really well on the page, does not look that good in live action.
No, it doesn't at all. But yeah, I think because the orderlies getting the pills because they think Henry's having a moment because he's talking to himself.
And saying he's out in the sun.
Yeah. So get him a hat. Hat and the pills. Yeah. That's it. And he just sneaks up behind and says, "You're not supposed to be back here." Dead.
Yeah. Like, wow, this place has really lacked security.
It's the security guard from Terminator 2. That is pretty much what it amounts to.
He broke off the key.
Go around.
But okay, so after the Mrs. Kirsch scene, Tom Rogan arrives. He manages. He's in Derry, and like I said before, he's bandaged on his head, but we're not really sure how that happened. But he arrives in Derry and he charms the hotel desk receptionist into telling her which room she's in.
Yeah, saying, because he asked her initially, "Can you tell me my wife's here and I want to surprise her?" She's like,
yeah,
we can't give that information out. Well, I want to. It's our anniversary. I want to surprise her. I messed up. Could you put me in the room next to her? And then you won't have told me which room she's in.
Yes, and I just it reads to me a lot like that scene in No Country for Old Men where the clerk is like, "We can't give out no information," and then you just hear a toilet flush.
Yeah.
But no, he's there, and he gets into her room, and he's watching TV, and Pennywise is on the TV and starts influencing him.
Yeah. Which is a bit...
In the book, he influences Rogan into kidnapping Audra, but that doesn't happen here.
No, again, because he's completely changed where Audra is at the time.
Yes, and we find out at the same time, more or less, that Henry Bowers, after having escaped from the mental institution, has commandeered a truck, which he somehow knows how to drive.
Yeah, but then again, he might have been in a nod to his greaser thing, he might have been able to hotwire cars or something.
Something, maybe, except it's the 80s and not the 50s.
Yeah.
He's just a big fan of grease.
Big fan of grease, yeah. Well, maybe, he knows that keys are in the, now in the mirror thing above the seats. Just opens
well,
that.
no, it's implied that he killed the guy because there's blood on the wallet that he's flashing.
That's right.
Or something like that.
Hasn't he changed into new clothes or something as well?
Yeah, he changed into the guy's clothes.
Yeah, that's it.
And he goes into the truck stop and he's like eyeing some knives in the display case.
Yeah.
Alright, so the losers meet up again at the library. Audra is hiding upstairs and listening. Yeah,
not at all Glenn Close at all.
No. In fact, and this character is really pointless in the script as we go on, because right after this next couple of scenes is the last time she shows up, more or less.
Yeah, well, that, and then she appears at the end, or something.
Very close to the end, but she still doesn't do anything.
No, that's right. It's just...
The one thing they could have given her to do in this script, she doesn't do.
Yes, that's true.
And so they're meeting in the library. They're discussing their plans about how they have all this equipment and they're going to go down in the sewers. And then Bill does this thing where he pulls out one of the old photographs of Pennywise in the crowd, pulls out his little jeweler's magnifying glass, goes, here, look at his face. And they see a scar on Pennywise's face from when they fought him back in the 80s.
In the 50s.
And so because time doesn't exist for it is hurt across all time.
Yeah.
And, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Not yet, because that's the ending.
Yeah. My brain is starting to melt at this point.
And then for some reason, they just all decide to split up.
Well, no, isn't it, Eddie decides he needs to go to the bathroom or something?
Well, that's later, because he gets a call from his wife.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm
But
thinking.
no, Beverly's just like, I need some fresh air, and Ben goes with her, and they have their moment on the loading dock when they finally get together.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you got a ring, and she goes like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. My husband, I'll get it annulled. It'll be fine.
He's discounting Xander Berkeley. You think he can really compete with you?
Yeah. Come on, he got replaced by Dougray Scott in Taken. He's got that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh god, Dougray Scott could play in this role as it's written. Not as ridiculous as he was in Mission Impossible 2, but
that's true. He's just hamming it up there.
No. He almost played Wolverine, which is hilarious.
He did, but thanks to John Woo in extending production.
Yeah.
Could
you imagine Dougray Scott and Logan?
Oh no, I don't think we'd have even got past Wolverine
X-Men
Origins.
1. We wouldn't have gotten past X-Men 1.
Oh. Well, no, we would have got X2, but because it focused entirely on him, it would have just gone down the shitter.
Yeah. But alright, so they have their moment out on the loading dock, and then Richie and Eddie are talking, and then he gets a call from his wife and goes off to the bathroom and takes a piss while he's talking to her.
Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. That shows he's more confident than they've let on earlier in the script.
Yeah. And then, okay, so it turns out it's Pennywise taking on the voice of his wife. Ooh. Luring him away so that Henry Bowers can stab him in the arm. And all I'm thinking about is that hopefully Bowers waited for him to finish off, because otherwise he just got pissed on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, he probably would have got pissed on, but he's that nuts he wouldn't have cared.
Yeah. And so he gets stabbed in the arm, which is supposed to reflect his broken arm. And then there's a big distraction in the main hall, which is a massive rain of blood.
Yeah.
And Audra's like, what the fuck
Fire
is this?
alarm goes off or something? Or there's an alarm goes off?
Yeah, Eddie gets... but basically what happens is that from all the blood, both Eddie and Bowers, they slip on the blood, but Bowers is the one who gets kind of hurt. So Eddie runs away, pulls the fire alarm, and Bowers runs off.
Yeah, that's right.
And Bill's like, hey, Audra, it's weird you're here, but what the fuck?
Yeah.
Go call off the fire alarm.
Yeah, we're going to go off deal with this. You deal with the fire crew.
And that's the last time we see her. The last important thing she does is call off the fire alarm.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so... And he also tells her to go and wait where there are a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so Beverly's like, okay, I'm going to go to my hotel room and get a first aid kit. And then Tom Rogan's there and starts strangling her with a lamp.
Yeah, it's the lamp cord.
And somehow, I physically can't figure out how she does this. She grabs a hold of the actual lamp part and then reaches around behind her and bashes him over the head.
Multiple times.
I don't think you could get the leverage to do that hard enough.
No, the only way it could have worked is as he's strangling her, the wire snaps, and she manages to get hold of the lamp before it drops.
Yeah, it's something like that. And then Ben comes in and is like, oh shit. And then checks the guy's pulse.
No, he picks him up as if he's going to beat him, and he looks at him saying, oh, okay, and drops him. He just drops him.
And it's like, is he... I wasn't sure if he was dead or not in this scene at first. I was like, wait a minute.
No, it's another one I had to reread. It's just like... It just says about...
Like,
it says about... Looks into his dead eyes. Is he... No. Drops him.
So it's like, is he dead or isn't he? I don't know.
We don't care. We ruined it in the miniseries, we'll ruin it here.
In fact, I'm reading it I'm looking at my notes, and apparently I wasn't sure then, so I just wrote, maybe, possibly kills him.
Even now, we don't know. Poor bastard.
Yep. Like, no one gives a shit about no one gives a shit about Tom Rogan.
No.
He probably will be Dougray Scott in part 2.
It has to be. And that's what's going to be on his tombstone. Nobody gives a shit about Tom Rogan.
And what's weird is that never comes up again. Like, she never has to deal with the fact that she killed her husband.
No, and there's no mention of it at all. Like, no police get involved.
Now, granted, that might be explained by what happens soon.
Yes.
Because, okay, I'm not even going to try to differentiate between the past and the present as they happen here, because they're literally flipping back and forth within the same page.
Yeah.
But we get scenes of both of them going down into the sewers. Because in the past, they're chased down there by the Bowers gang, and they get cornered by the door to its lair.
Yeah.
And, and there's this whole thing about there's 2 dead bodies that are still there 30 years later, blah, blah, and there's a drop-off and all that. So we get some sewer exploration.
Well, aren't the 2 bodies meant to be...
Twins?
Yes, they are twins, yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out why they aren't completely rotted away from 85 to 2012.
Again, maybe it goes down to time distortions. Ooh!
Elizabeth opened up a tear to another dimension. I don't know.
Probably.
Bioshock reference. I've been playing by the Bioshock collection lately, so that's on my mind.
All right, fair enough.
But okay, so in the past, they get cornered by the teeny tiny little dwarf door to the lair.
Yeah.
And then so what happens is that it comes in from the other direction. And I think even at this point, Victor, Chris, and Belch Huggins are like, hey, this guy's gone completely psycho. Like, even they're kind of, like, done with him at this point, I think.
Yeah, but they're just trapped down with him.
And then so it comes in from the other direction, and this is where the description of it just completely fails, because it's described as walking around on stilt-like limbs, like a spider. So but it's still described as Pennywise, and it's still talking.
Yeah, it is. It's as if the clown is just walking on stilts. But
it says it's on legs, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If it was on the stilts, it would only be on the back too, not doing what it did earlier
because it's able to grab people with arms. So I'm assuming it has stilt-like legs and arms.
Maybe.
The only thing I could picture, and it has like a human-like head on the front of it, the only thing I can picture in my head is that Treehouse of Horror episode where they did Nightmare on Elm Street and Groundskeeper Willie turns into a big, like, steampunk spider at the end.
That's right, yeah, with the bagpipe as his body.
Yeah, that's all it can be. That's the only thing I can think of.
That is probably what he was going for. The Simpsons was probably on as he was writing this bit.
Yeah. Groundskeeper Willie. I love Groundskeeper Willie.
Yeah, he is brilliant.
The ugliest man in all of Glasgow wasn't good enough for you, eh?
Buongiorno, you cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
I apologize to any Scottish listeners I have for that horrendous impression.
I don't, but then again, they just crossed the border and beat me up.
Yeah, but... But okay, so what happens is that this weird Groundskeeper Willie thing comes running in, it knocks Victor Chris's head off, and then it tries to drag Belch Huggins away, and I like that the losers actually try to save him.
Well, they do. They actually, Victor and Belch ask the kids, can you help us get out? They actually ask for help, which I liked. It's like, we're out of our depth, can you help us?
Because they're not as, they're nowhere near as bad as Henry is.
No, their mind ain't FUBAR yet. It will be in the
they still fail to save him, and like Eddie gets like pinned down, and I think it's when they're trying to save them when he does, this is battery acid fuck nuts.
Yeah, that's right. And he sprays it, then he drops the bodies.
Yeah.
and just disappears. Isn't that when
Yeah,
he runs through the door?
It grabs Henry and runs through the door.
Yeah.
And so in the past, Bill goes through the door, and then we get to the present.
Yes.
This is where it gets really fucking weird. I don't even have words to describe this. It's okay, they get to the teeny tiny little door, and they're like, okay, in the past, only you went through. And he's like, oh yeah, but now we all do. And there's this hint that he knows something that he hasn't been telling them.
Yeah.
And so they crawl through the door, and they see the adult Henry Bowers there. And, oh yeah, they mentioned that they carried Henry Bowers out of the sewers as kids.
Yeah, because
which I thought was strangely altruistic of them.
Well, yeah, you thought, just leave him. This guy's been hell.
Like, I mean, especially in the new movie where it's just like, where Richie says, "Go blow your dad, you mullet-wearing asshole."
Oh my god.
But yeah, they mentioned that earlier. So they all go through the door, and as they're in there, they find adult Henry looking really freaked out. As they're standing there, they see Spider-like It come running through the door, holding young Henry, and then young Henry and old Henry look at each other. They're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's right.
And then it runs further into the lair. Then little Bill walks in.
Sees adult
Big Bill. Yeah, and then Big Bill is like, "Little Bill, go get the rest of us." And so then they all come through, and then Big Bill tells the other old guys, he says, "When I was a kid, I saw all of us down here."
Yes.
As we are now.
Oh, well, thanks for telling us this important bit of information before.
Yeah, and so the little kids come through, and they like beat the fuck out of Pennywise too for a bit.
Well, they did.
But no.
Again, the description here confused me a tiny bit, because you've got the adult losers and the kid losers, but then
yeah.
I thought that the ghosts of the previously murdered children rise up.
Yeah, because what happens is that they chase it, like she sees Beverly beat off It with a belt, and she's like, and the little girl Beverly's like, "Ew," and she's like, "You don't have to be afraid." And so they all go off deeper into the lair, and they see It resting on top of a pile of corpses.
Yeah, corpses, skeletons, fresh, not so fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Bill grabs It by the head and stares it in the eyes, so basically what he does in the book, but not explained.
Yeah.
And keeps it distracted with some sort of psychic battle, while the rest of them, kids, adults, and the dead kids, all rise up and tear him to pieces.
And they even mention ripping out its heart again.
Yep, and smashing it.
Yeah. Because they pull a heart out that's like a stone or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then so the kids all go off and leave. And while all this is going on, by the way, Derry has been, getting hit by a storm and flooding, and all these buildings are getting destroyed, and one of the streets collapses in on itself, which is the one over the canal.
Yeah.
Which is all from the book.
Yeah, it is actually, yeah. And it's
I remember that being one of the biggest surprises when I first read the book, because that definitely doesn't happen in the miniseries.
No. Derry's just like, ooh, sun's come out in the miniseries.
And I'm guessing this is the explanation for why no one asks about Tom Rogan, because I guess
the hotel collapses
laying around. Yeah, the body's all laying around. Nobody noticed.
No, and it's like you could take the hotel receptionist identifies this guy, but he came to visit his wife. I didn't know he was still there.
But so they destroy it in a weirdly anticlimactic fashion.
Like in the miniseries.
Like, even more so here, though, because it's just literally just, we're going to grab him.
But I think it adds more that it's the ghost of the dead kids rising up to help hold it down.
Yeah.
As the survivors can go. They're going, finish it, we've got him. It's like that bit in Infinite Crisis where Wally's running with Superboy Prime through the Speed Force, and then suddenly all the previous Flashes appear and grab him and put him in.
So am I to assume that the weird time travel stuff in this is caused by Superman Prime punching the walls?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, but no, what really confuses me about the time travel stuff here is that they say when they're kids, they didn't enter the door.
No.
Yet adult and they remember Bill coming out, and then they left. But then, in the present timeline, they all do come in through the door and then come out, so... Did they create a new timeline? And oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
During Bill's battle with Pennywise in the Unseen Macroverse, did he wipe their memories as they walked away? What the hell happened?
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah! Call Doctor! Call Doctor!
Yeah, and so they go and the adult losers leave, and they end up in the collapsed street. But Bill is all catatonic and shit from looking into the deadlights, I guess. They don't explain that here.
No, that's what I assumed. They were just giving him Audra's bit from the miniseries in the book.
Yes, that's what they do. And so they spend like a week hanging around Bill's house. Like, they're all living together. Like I said, it's like an episode of Friends.
Yeah. I'll be there for you, Bill.
Or the young ones or whatever. Yeah.
If it even, well, depending on how damaged the house is, it probably would have been the young ones.
And they're just living there, like, don't know what to do. And then Eddie sees the moped in the back of the garage and goes, hey, let's fix this thing up. So we get a fixing it up montage.
Yeah, and then Audra turns up to ask them how Bill is.
And then she leaves.
And they could have easily given her the ending.
But they don't. Instead, Bill, despite being catatonic, somehow rides the damn thing down the hill all by himself.
Yeah, he gets up, stands on the bike, even turns and says something, but they mention in a monotone, it's a moped. And then rides off down the hill.
And I will admit his monologue at the end here is actually really good.
Yeah.
Because it's very much in the themes of the book.
That's right, yeah, they had to give it to Bill because, of course, they meta killed off Mike. So
yeah, and it reminds me of that bit where it says at the end of the book how sometimes just waking up he remembers, but then it fades.
Yeah.
And that's like the last line of the book.
That's right, yeah. Definitely. And again, that voiceover could work. It's just a shame it's not Audra taking control of the bike.
Yeah, that's what they should have done. Like, why is the catatonic guy driving by himself?
Why can't they just give it the swap to prove that she really does love him and it's her love that brings him back round?
Yeah, that's what it should have been. It would have given her a point. And here it says, nah.
Is he okay? No, he's still catatonic? Alright, then I'll go back and look after the library. That's
I'll clean up the blood.
Yeah. There's some damp books I've got to dry out, you know.
We gotta get this place back together for that asshole to crash a plane into the town center in Insomnia.
Yes. Yes.
Which will be completely irrelevant because Dark Tower 7 basically says fuck Insomnia.
Yeah.
It does. That book, they literally pull out a copy of Insomnia and go, yeah, don't worry about it.
That's right, yeah, because they completely changed the whole thing with the kid from Insomnia as well. He's meant to save 2 people. He saves no one. Thanks for that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the ending. And this thing I can see the love for the material in this script.
Well, yeah, he's definitely a fan because he's added in bits that weren't in the miniseries. He's taken them from the book and given them a fresh lease. Yeah.
Yes, and you can see he's really trying to get the themes and the ideas down in the restrictions that he had, but I don't think he even executes it that well even with that. It just kind of feels like a fast-forwarded version of the book with 2 characters missing.
Yeah, and one woman just becoming like Glenn Close, like, I love him, but he's just ignoring me after he slept with me.
Oh no.
Woe is me. He's got no bunnies. I can't do anything.
He's not Michael Douglas.
I'm not even Catherine Zeta-Jones. I've got no chance.
Hell, I can't kill Ant-Man.
Maybe I'll go off and do a movie with Sean Connery instead.
Oh God, I've never seen that, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've only seen bits of it, mainly from the trailers.
Yeah, I just know the fucking, like, laser scene.
Yeah, that's all anybody knows. I think that's all anybody would remember.
What's it called? Entrapment?
Yes, Entrapment, yeah. That's probably the scene that Michael Douglas saw and thought, I'm marrying that woman.
We're going to do Traffic together.
Yeah, that's right, they did. They did, yeah.
You gotta do something good to make up for that shitty Haunting remake you were in, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks, yeah. Yeah, if Owen Wilson's career can survive, maybe yours can.
God, the best part of that movie is when, it's not good, but when Owen Wilson just goes crazy screaming, trying to smash the window open. Ah!
It's like he's like, I don't care what movie I'm in, I'm doing my shtick.
And then his head gets chopped off.
That was just so random. It's just this random lion's head in the fireplace, which is not there before.
It was there earlier. They explained, it popped up earlier, but it didn't make any sense.
No, and then it's just like, oh, it's there to break Owen Wilson's nose.
Again,
yeah. Hey, pretty boy, smack.
Well, I mean, we're already talking about The Haunting. I think we covered this script pretty well.
Yeah, I've done quite well. I'm surprised how much I remembered from it.
It's not very good.
No, some bits are.
Some bits work okay, but that ending just kills it.
Yeah, because it doesn't make much sense. Was this a first draft or a second draft? Or...
It doesn't say.
No. That's the thing. If this was a first draft, then you could understand. If it's a first draft, it's a good first draft.
As far as first drafts go.
Yeah. You would needed a second draft, maybe a third, to figure out what the hell Pennywise is at the end.
Yes, and what the hell that ending is. It's the ending that just destroys it.
Yeah. They might as well just have the Doctor turn up, show his sonic screwdriver and go, sorted.
Which Doctor, though?
Which Doctor? For me, it'd be Paul McGann, because he's my Doctor.
He'd just be like, Dragon!
Yeah. Yeah, he replaces Henry Bowers and is just driven mad. Dragon! Feeds on mines!
You cut my death scene out.
Yeah. Fuck you, Guyler! Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I have an intense hatred of producer David Guyler. It's completely unwarranted. It's completely unwarranted, but I just hate the guy.
It's hilarious.
Hashtag fuck Guyler.
Hashtag stop Scott. How do I grow potatoes? And I will say, having read his Stand script, this is way better than that, because that was just, whoa.
Well, again, The Stand is another massive book. I think that's
a massive book which has an even weirder, like, in terms of trying to make it into a movie, has an even weirder, like, production history, because it was like Romero wanted to do it, and then there was a script in the 80s, and then miniseries, and then David Yates, Ben Affleck, Scott Cooper, and then Josh Boone, who's been trying to get it made for the last 3 years.
It is. The closest it's got to being made was when Marvel did the miniseries, the comic.
The comic, which I've heard isn't that great.
I've only read bits of it, but again, the fact they've spread it out so far, I think there's elements of padding.
Yeah, and I heard they didn't even finish the Talisman comic.
I didn't even remember they'd started one.
Yeah. They did. I just don't think they finished it.
There's probably some problems then.
I don't think it sold well or something like that. But either way, this script, not the worst thing I've read. I can honestly say that. I've read so much worse.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, oh god, that Freddy vs. Jason episode alone was just 4 scripts worth of pain.
Well, even listening to that, I could tell you were dying inside.
Yes. But it's not the worst thing I've read. It's not the best. It's not the worst Kajanic thing I've read, because I've read The Stand. I'd like to read Pet Sematary just to see how that falls on the spectrum.
So, complete the King trilogy that he was writing.
Yeah. And that's it. It's meh. I'm kind of glad we got the version we got.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see the version we've got, to be fair.
Because we avoided the timey-wimey ball, and we avoided Stan as a goldfish, so I'm happy.
That is a goldfish. Yeah, and yeah,
Who
at least the black guy got back in this version, yeah.
Yeah, the black guy got back, and he doesn't die.
No. and the Jewish guy's there as well.
Yeah, and the Jewish guy.
God.
Who's the little kid who played Star-Lord at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy.
No way!
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's what really happened to Star-Lord then. He was dropped off, He fell out the ship and dropped off in Derry.
Yeah, actually that reminds me of something now that I'm thinking about Stan. In this script, nobody dies.
No!
Except Georgie. None of the losers die because they spare Eddie and Stan's not in it.
Yeah, that's right. And the only characters that seem to die, well, Rogan, Victor, Belch,
Bowers.
I
don't think they establish what happens to adult Bowers. I think they just leave him there.
Yeah, I think he's just driven mad again. Maybe he dies when the ceilings collapse as they're getting out.
Maybe.
But again, maybe that could be improved in a later script.
Yeah, but I feel like that they just kind of takes away the teeth of it as a character if it can't even successfully kill the people it kills canonically.
No, exactly, yeah. The fact that, it gets rid of two people, and one isn't in this, and the other survives.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
No. Because it doesn't have that threat in that regard. Maybe it should have killed Richie on the bridge in this version. He just suddenly explodes over the guy's car.
But yeah, that was this version of it. And like I said before, the reason I didn't cover the Fukunaga scripts is because I'd say about 70% of both those drafts combined is in the movie. So,
which makes sense. That way, people aren't worried about spoilers.
Yep, and I didn't know they were going to be that close when I read them, so yeah.
I guess it worked quite out with you seeing it before we did this.
Yeah, it did. Well, I was going to go see it as soon as I could, but yeah, whatever. This is the episode. Remember, check us out on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, the RSS feed, and Blogger, and iTunes and Stitcher Radio, and until next time, bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Badum-tish.